Welcome back to Norman, Oklahoma. As you can see, an absolutely magnificent day. Cincinnati in town to take on the Sooners. And Ed, talk more about Sam Bradford, the young sophomore out of Oklahoma City.
It's almost amazing what he did as a freshman last year in his efficiency. Set the TD passing record for the freshman, which was Colt McCoy's record for all of 1 year. He also led the nation in passing efficiency. Very efficient with the ball. Very rarely throws it into coverage.
And let's take a look at the best buy impact players of the ball game for the Sooners.
DeMarco Murray had a knee injury last year, had surgery, 100%, up 10 pounds from last year, still explosive. Leading receiver last year for Oklahoma was Joaquin Iglesias, 68 catches, very good in the open field, and a 6'6", 260-pound tight end in Jermaine Gresham, very good in the red zone, runs like a wide receiver.
And it seems like every game, every year, he just gets better and better. Well, it's one of the top home fields in college football, and the Sooners are ready to defend it. The opening kickoff is next. OU wins the toss. OU will receive. So Brian Kelly, the head coach of Cincinnati, on the left, and on the right is Bob Stoops. Hard to believe that Bob Stoops is beginning his 10th year as the head coach here in Norman. And for Coach Kelly, he's beginning his second. He has a great record every place he's been, and a very demonstrative fellow. As you look at DeMarco Murray, along with Iglesias, the two deep men, two very dangerous deep men for the Oklahoma Sooners. Jake Rogers will kick it off. Jake had been doing the field goal kicking. Yingling will handle that today. It'll be Jake with the kickoffs, unless the head coach changes his mind midstream in this one. Good kick deep into the end zone, and it is going to be returned by Iglesias, 5 yards deep, and he brings it out on the right side. He will not make it to the 15-yard line. Great coverage by Cincinnati. Battle on the tackle. So the starters for Oklahoma, you'll see at the top of the screen, it will begin to scroll. And as we look at that scroll, trotting out on the field will be Sam Bradford. Not many quarterbacks in recent decades out of Oklahoma City have gained a starting position here at OU. Sam, one of the first in more than 2 decades.
And a young man who just burst onto the scene last year. We're going to see them in a hurry-up offense. This is new because of his experience. Even as a sophomore, they're going to go very fast today.
From the shotgun, you can see he has 2 wide receivers to each side. Bradford out in the flat. Complete at the 15. That's Gresham, the tight end that Ed talked about just a moment ago. And they're going to say he is out of bounds just across the 16. And at the top of your screen, now you will see scrolling the defensive starters for the Bearcats of Cincinnati.
And what a veteran group it is for Cincinnati. A bunch of seniors. They've been coached up for a couple of years now. Remember, Mark D'Antonio was here.
Running play across the 20, the 25, and out to the 28 is DeMarco Murray. It's a gain of 9, and there's the hurry up right there. Was Cincinnati a little off guard on that?
Absolutely. They see it every day in practice because Cincinnati also runs it. But this is a big group of offensive linemen. You better be down in your stance as a D lineman and be ready.
Lode Holt on the left side, suspended last week, gets his first start of the year this afternoon. Quick out pass to number 1, Manuel Johnson, and he's had a gain of very close to 5 on the play. They'll spot him down at around the 31. So trying to gain a rhythm, we have to gain it with them up here because OU's doing a nice job of, is he about to go under center or is he going to go to shotgun?
Yeah, and that's the thing, you don't know the tempo because they'll change it between plays.
He's waiting for the snap and gets it already. Bradford rolls to the right, has a man, and throws it complete. 42-yard line, and he's got Iglesias. That's good for 11. So 2 things, Ed. He hasn't been touched. And the pace right now, it seems as though Cincinnati's going to have to gain that page quickly.
Kevin Wilson, the offensive coordinator, looking for consistency, play at a high level by this offensive line every game.
Bradford starts the ball game 3 of 3. Has a man open again. This one is tipped, and that's nice defense as it is Brandon Caleb, the intended receiver. So the impact players for Cincinnati.
Well, Terrell Byrd, 3rd-team All-American, was suspended last week. Short guy who can get it done in the middle. Good to have him back. Connor Barwin was a tight end last year, now a defensive end. D'Angelo Smith and Mickens, 2 of the best guys breaking on the ball for interceptions. They'll be running under a lot of routes today.
Brandon Underwood, a senior who is a transfer from Ohio State, actually is the man who got a hand on that last football. This pass thrown complete in the flat and down the sideline. Untouched is Broyles. Broyles hit. He loses the ball, but not before he takes it all the way to the 27. D'Angelo Smith makes the stop, and it's a gain of 31, Ed.
Well, and this is where Bradford is so good. There was a blitz in the middle, and he saw Broyles break out, and because the corner had to run with the deep route, that's D'Angelo Smith over there coming up trying to run. The safety coming over late.
Got a man wide open right over the middle. Touchdown, Oklahoma. It is Brian Broyles, 27 yards. Folks, I don't know if you've gotten your breath or not. We haven't, and I'm afraid Cincinnati defensively has not either. That has been absolutely like a surgeon. This is Stevens, Jimmy Stevens, a redshirt freshman out of Oklahoma City, with the extra point attempt, and he knocks it right down the middle. So, wow, not even 2 minutes played in this opening quarter, and Oklahoma on the board, 7-0.
You know, Ron, when we saw the new rules, we had conversations during the offseason about how many teams were going to start using the no huddle. Well, if you look at the amount of weapons, and Broyles, a young man, a freshman that they really like, was suspended last week against Chattanooga. And you see that they have added to their repertoire. Of course, Malcolm Kelly leaves, such a great playmaker. You step in with a guy like Broyles that they don't want to use Mark Clayton's name, but they say he sure does remind us of Mark Clayton with his quickness in the open field.
The interesting thing that his offensive coordinator said, and Kevin Wilson said yesterday, he said, pardon the expression, but he has a shake and bake that most people don't have. And then in the open, when he's in space, that really creates some problems.
Yeah, and Kevin Wilson just has so many guys. You know, the one thing he's got to fight is they'll start moving some guys around, is make sure that those guys really know each position, because Murray will go out to a slot receiver. Gresham will move around. You've got to make sure that they're drilled, but they go so fast in practice, I don't think that's a problem.
Ready for this? Drive 88 yards in 1 minute and 42 seconds. Now, my advice to Oklahoma, don't rest on your laurels here and think, well, hey, you know, did the same thing last week in our opening ball game. The Cincinnati Ball Club is very good on the offense as well.
Yeah, no offense to Tennessee Chattanooga, but this is a whole different bunch that they're going to be playing against.
Looks like Matthew Moreland is going to kick it off for the Sooners. A little bit of a surprise here. Early in the season, both coaching staffs making some changes. Spinner is going to be short and will be taken at the 9-yard line. This is Gilliard, and he will take it out across the 25 to around the 27. So at the top of your screen, we will scroll the Cincinnati offensive starters. And as we do that, you'll get an opportunity to look at Dustin Rutza, the senior out of Maysville, Kentucky, at quarterback.
And a young man who was the starter, as we mentioned at the top of the show, in 2005, 2006, Ben Mauck, and we'll get into that whole saga here in a little bit, what's going on with Mr. Mauck's lawsuit. But the coaches really trust him. They're looking for the same efficiency with Mauck. Last year, touchdowns to interceptions. Rutza struggled with that earlier in his career.
The lone setback is number 20, Jacob Ramsey, a junior out of Columbus, Ohio. And he'll get the handoff on first down right over the middle. Has 5, has 7, counted off at about 9 yards. Tackle made by Lindy Holmes, a senior out of Dallas, South Oak Cliff, out of the secondary.
One thing that Oklahoma is concerned about is their linebackers. Only one guy, Ryan Reynolds, was starting experience, and this really the first game of the season with good competition.
Running play again. They'll have the first down with the Jacob Ramsey as he takes it to the 39. Travis Lewis this time defensively. So, Ed, both ball clubs come out and they're not wasting any time at all.
We're going to see about 100 plays of offense for both teams.
Offensive coordinators will love it. I'm not sure about the defensive coordinators, or are you?
No, this is a lot of stress on the defense.
John Goebel checks in at tailback, number 22. They split him out wide to the left. So they go empty in the backfield with Rutza. Blitz coming off the corner, picked up nicely. Rutza pass back over the middle, incomplete. A little bit hard and a little low to Dominic Goodwin. And here are the impact players as far as Cincinnati is concerned.
Well, they returned all of their receivers, and it's a very good group. Dominic Goodman, not very fast, but very physical. Marty Gilliard has great hands and is very good in the open field. And the guy, Marcus Barnett, last year as a freshman, they call him Bones because he is so skinny. 13 touchdowns, set a Cincinnati school record.
Gaduli and Ali are the two tight ends. Oklahoma shows blitz, and they come right into the play, and I mean, that thing was doomed from the get-go. And I have a feeling that Brutza had maybe already made the change and couldn't get out of it, but the minute that the defender, Jeremy Beal, number 44, stepped up and came on the blitz, it was right in the hole where the ball was handed off.
And Beal, a guy who they've moved around a little bit from linebacker to defensive end. He can bounce some. He's more of a linebacker athlete, but he will play with his hand down on the ground some as the defensive lineman.
Third down, and it's going to be plus 10. It's going to be about 11 yards. You need to take it across the 49 to maintain the drive. Pressure right up the middle. Brutza running for his life, and he's going to go down. Back at the 28-yard line. And for Cincinnati fans groaning, that was the smart thing to do rather than try to throw it away and get it picked. That was Travis Lewis who tackled it.
Well, and Lewis is coming right here. He's just going to come to the inside. And I think the noise got to Cincinnati. They made an audible at the line, and it looked to me like the offensive lineman did not really know what the protection was. The right guard, Canfield, got over there late.
Huber with the kick. Not going to turn over, and now takes an Oklahoma bounce and goes back up the field in their direction. It'll be marked out at around the 38-yard line. So we'll take a timeout. 10:52 left, opening quarter. Sooners 7-0, and they're back on offense. Welcome back. 7-0. Sooners lead. And look at the numbers on this young guy. Boy, in that opening drive, he just went right down the field. 5 of 6, 79 yards passing. Had a touchdown. And this time, DeMarco Murray will get a breather. And it will be number 29, Chris Brown, a junior out of Alexandria, Louisiana. 5'11", 210 at tailback. And this time, Bradford goes under center. Hands it to Brown. Nice block across the 50. And he is all the way into Cincinnati territory at the 47. D'Angelo Smith defensively on the stop.
You talk to the Oklahoma coaches about their running game. Yes, DeMarco Murray is the guy who can make huge differences. But you always overlook Chris Brown because he's not very flashy. But the one thing that both Wilson and Stoops talk about is how well he picks up yards once he sees a hole.
Here he goes again, and the youngster from Alexandria will take it for 2. That's Manilak. Ryan is a senior out of Pickerington, Ohio, 6 feet 235, a middle linebacker.
The other thing that Brown does so well is takes care of the football. He will not put it on the grass, and then, you know, a guy like Bob Stoops who has a defensive background, yeah, he's going to get a lot of playing time if he doesn't turn it over.
That is truly saying this is what Brown can do for you. Great protection, wide open in the flat. That's Brown. Brown will have the first down, and he'll take it down inside the 30 to the 29. And the protection up front, Lodeholm, Robinson, Cooper, Walker, and Trent Williams, simply magnificent.
And Bradford saw he had 2 receivers on that side that he threw to Brown. They ran into each other. So he just very calmly came down to his running back.
So a safety valve play picks up a big first down. And they sweep it back to the right this time. And Brown being very cautious, waiting for his blocks. It was Terrell Byrd, the outstanding nose tackle, defensive tackle, number 95 out of Cincinnati Coleraine High School.
Byrd, a guy who, if he were 6'2", would be a first-day draft pick next year, but just about, they say 6 feet, but he's a little bit under. Really understands leverage, uses his hands very well.
It is 2nd down and 5. The expression of playing in front of the chains has definitely been it for Oklahoma today. Murray back in the ball game, breaks a tackle, goes inside the 15. He is at the 13. It'll be another first down. And Ed, this may help you out in how when we talk about Cincinnati and how good they are. We were told in practice on Thursday that the NFL scouts are writing 10 players, which
10
means
reports.
10 different reports, which means that's how good they think the Bearcats are.
Especially in their secondary, but right now Oklahoma's having their way with that.
Bradford for the end zone, the ball a little too hard and was tipped, I believe, by Mickens. And Mickens certainly the best of the cornerbacks for Cincinnati.
What's interesting in their defensive secondary, they actually moved D'Angelo Smith from corner to free safety because Brandon Underwood, an Ohio State transfer, was there. And this, I mean, you don't cover any better. That's, you know, the hands there, legal in college football beyond 5 as long as you're equal with the run.
DeMarco Murray spins off the tackle, going to come back to the open side. Bradford with a block, not much of one, but it was better than a Matador block.
He gave it a shot. I'm not so sure that you want 14 having to block, but this is what Murray gives you. Expect anything. Good defense and a missed tackle there by Manilak. Yeah. And there's Bradford. We'll try to call that blocking going against Ricardo Matthews.
So Oklahoma with 140 yards already in this ball game, and we've just gone under 9 minutes to play. Bradford with the audible. He'll stay from the shotgun. Step to his right, throws it to his tight end. It is touchdown, Jermaine Gresham. Oklahoma. I'm not saying it's going to happen today, but they scored in their first 7 drives last week. They have tallied on their first 2 today, and quite frankly, I think the head coach from Cincinnati would agree with me. It has been like child's play.
Well, and Gresham gives you so much versatility. He's lined up actually as a slot receiver, and the defender on that sign, Cedric Tolbert, the strong safety. Usually you'd expect a strong safety to be able to run with a 260-pound man, but boy, 18 can really turn him.
Jimmy Stevens has the extra point up, and it is good. Let's take another look as we go to break. Jermaine Gresham, the 6'6", 261-pound tight end, eludes the tackler. All Sooners so far.
ESPN College Football on ABC. Brought to you by Best Buy. You happier. Dodge. Live life to the fullest. Dodge. Grab life. And Allstate. Proud sponsors of college football. Are you in good hands?
Welcome back to Norman, Oklahoma. As you got a look at some of the Heisman Trophy statues to the east side of the stadium. About to kick off is Matthew Moreland.
Was that first drive? Just under 2 minutes, 2:26. Yeah, I'd say the no huddle's working so far this season for Oklahoma.
We have not even played half of the first quarter yet. Here's the kick. High spinner, going to come down at the 7. Gilliard again. Spins around, trying to break it free. It does at the 40, 45, 50, and then is going to be taken out of bounds as he crosses midfield. That was Moreland, the kicker, who made the tackle. Well, here's a reminder. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Well, it's going to head to Richmond now. And you know, it's now or never for these 3 guys. Jeff Gordon, Casey Kane, and Clint Bauer. And that is, as you know, they all got one last shot at making the chase. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Chevy Rock and Roll 400 at Richmond on ESPN. It's 1 o'clock on Sunday. Best field position for Cincinnati today. Blitz is picked up nicely, and the pass is caught, and that is Gilliard, who will take it inside the 35 to the 32. Top of your screen, you will see a scroll of the defenders for Oklahoma.
Brent Venables, the defensive coordinator, sitting down with him yesterday. He coaches the linebackers as well. I mentioned at the top of the show, Ryan Reynolds, the only guy with starting experience. And against this spread offense, if they don't get lined up right in the pass game, you could have some holes.
Biggest threat for the Bearcats this afternoon from the 31. and they counter on what looked like an option play, and what a defensive stop. Travis Lewis was not fooled. That's a great-looking play if you sucker the linebacker. If he stays at home, as he did right there, it looks bad.
And this is exactly what Coach Venables was talking about. Look, all the action is going to go to the left. And Travis Lewis, who's just a freshman, they were expecting him maybe not to play with an ankle, does a wonderful job of realizing it's coming back and staying right where he needed to be.
I know they're young, but they have so many numbers at linebacker. Pass out in the flat, a little too tall. It was intended for Kazim Ali, and it'll go incomplete and stop the clock at the 7:13 mark.
You know, you mentioned at the top of the show Cincinnati's problems with their kicking game. Jake Rogers, their usual kicker, just had a hard time transitioning from practice into a game, and now you're in a situation where Brandon Yingling, who has never attempted a field goal in college, may have to come out. If I'm Cincinnati, I want more than 6 or 7 and thinking field goal, because that's not a guarantee.
Yeah, that's a great point from where they are. As the blitz comes off the corner, and the running play is going to be stopped at the 26. So Grutzer will take it. And this is going to be a 42, 43-yard field goal attempt. What would you do?
And it's right on the edge of Yingling's range. When we talked to Brian Kelly, he said about the 25-yard line. I think they need to go. There's just too much momentum right now for Oklahoma. You miss a field goal, or worse, you get it blocked. I think this is the right call by Cincinnati. 4th down, and the line to make is the 21 of Oklahoma. Cincinnati trailing 14-0. First quarter. Grutzer, pressure, steps up, runs into his own man, now drills the ball, and it was caught. Where are they going to say he caught it? Whoa, the spot is going to be also important, as Dominic Goodman did a great job of coming back to catch the ball. Well, and it's because he had to come back, and I think it was because Grutzer had to avoid that pressure to his right. It was the pressure of Jeremy Beal, and he had to avoid that. And we'll probably see a replay on this, but I think it's because he had to avoid it that they couldn't get the first down.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed.
So we'll take another look at the play. An absolutely great job by the receiver to not only catch it, but to get his feet down. But as he was dragging, he was coming beyond the line he needed for the first down.
And even though it was very close, remember, it has to be irrefutable, that video evidence. And it's where the ball went out of bounds, and you just couldn't tell enough to turn it over, and I think it was the right thing to confirm it.
So Bradford this time goes under center with an I formation behind him. Going to throw long, and the pass is thrown well out of bounds and incomplete. And for the first time this afternoon, it was a hit on the quarterback. Connor Barwin was putting the pressure on young Mr. Sam Bradford.
Well, and if you question Brian Kelly, the head coach of Cincinnati, even though he calls the plays offensively, if he cares about defense, when you take a guy like Connor Barwin, who had 31 receptions last year as a tight end, and move him over to get a high energy guy on your defense, that's commitment to an entire team.
This running play will only go for a couple. And let's check in back in New York at the ABC studio.
Great to see everyone. I'm Matt Weiner in New York, here to keep you up to date on all the day's biggest games.
Let's get a Taco Bell update on Georgia, no longer #1 in the country, but up on Central Michigan. Watch the patience from Matthew Stafford, then fires and finds Muhammad Massaquoi. 7-0 there. Penn State leads Oregon State, their first ever meeting, 14-zip Lions.
So we're back in Norman at his 3rd down. Sooners need to take it to the 32-yard line, and Bradford is hit as he throws, and that was Mandalak, the middle linebacker. So that's back-to-back plays at Cincinnati. Gets pressure on the quarterback, and it pays off for him. This is the first punt of the afternoon for the Oklahoma Sooners.
Yeah, and I think Joe Tracy, the defensive coordinator for Cincinnati, got tired of seeing Bradford sit back there and not be pestered. And, you know, he looked at the tape from last year, and not many people pressured Bradford because he was so efficient. Well, I think he's now going to make a choice. I think we're going to see more of that throughout the game. He can't let Bradford just stand back there.
Matt Nall, who was not used very much last week since they scored on the first 7 possessions, gets a line drive boot away. And running away from it is Angelo Smith. D'Angelo Smith will let it bounce, and it will be 1st and 10 for Cincinnati following a 48-yard boot.
Well, last year, Ben Mauck, of course, this was at Wake Forest in 2006. He separated his shoulder, broke his arm, came back. Because he was a graduate student, could play right away. 31 touchdown passes, only 9 interceptions. Really made things happen. Beat out Dustin Grutza right at the end of camp and had an amazing year. And we'll give you more of an update what's going on with his eligibility.
It's been a long, hard fight. That's Bennett in motion. Barnett, I should say, and straight ahead with the play will be a gain of about 5. Todd Harris, let's check with you on the sideline.
Well, Ron, just to follow up what Ed was talking about, Ben Mauck's situation, he went to the reinstatement committee, which is basically the 3rd step and final step for him to get his eligibility back 1 more year. They denied him on Wednesday afternoon. Now, I spoke with Ben Mauck's attorneys yesterday, and they said it is not a done deal yet. He has still got 1 more opportunity. It's really convoluted. It really hinges on his freshman year at Wake Forest. He did not play it down, and he says he was only in there because he was an emergency quarterback backup, but never played it down. Now, he's trying to get that year back, and Ron, what it really hinges on is Cincinnati has left the door open. Would they like to see him back? Probably so, but they can't play him, even though there's an injunction against the NCAA that will let him play, because if he does play in a game or practice and then is later ruled ineligible finally by a court, they would have to forfeit the victory or a game that he played in. So it's really a long, drawn-out process, but in speaking with Ben Mauck's attorneys, they say the fight is not done. Ben is actually a student at the University of Cincinnati working on a master's degree right now.
Okay, Todd. Well, you can see Grutza, who is the man manning that position now, if you will, picking up the first down a moment ago, and then straight ahead with the running play, it's Goebel for a gain of 4.
And the key to this whole thing is you have 5 years to play 4 years, unless you have 2 or more seasons taken away from you for things outside of your control. Ben Mauck, of course, had 2006 taken away from him from the shoulder and arm injury at Wake Forest. Now he's saying my freshman year at Wake Forest was also taken away. The NCAA didn't think so. So that is what the discussion is about, whether he truly lost that second year for things outside of his control.
Blitz coming right up the middle, and he is going to be sacked again, this time at the 34, and Jeremy Beal has just had a sensational opening quarter. He's only a sophomore out of Carrollton, Texas.
It was interesting yesterday when we were talking to Brent Venables about Beal, just a sophomore, and he was in line to play quite a bit at middle linebacker. But because they had such good recruits at that linebacker position, we're starting to see them. I mean, Travis Lewis, these guys are so good. They thought that the young man Beal would help them more immediately at defensive end, and I would say the coaches are right so far.
What an embarrassment of riches, though. Grutza under heavy pressure, throws it and has it complete. In the flat is Gilliard, and Gilliard will have a sizable gain, but it's 9 yards short of the first down. Let's take a look now at the city X Factor.
Well, there is such a fine punter for Cincinnati, Kevin Huber. He led the nation last year, first team All-American. And as this game gets close, which we think it may, this could be the X factor, because Oklahoma was 78th in the country last year in punt return yardage and had a difficult time out in Colorado with field position, which may have cost them that game.
Huber's kick, left footer. Boy, he bangs this one. It is a dandy. It's going to hit at the goal line and bounces in for the touchback. Well, we had a microphone on Brian Kelly in pregame, and here's exactly what he sounded like.
You guys got good players, boy, too, I tell you.
You know,
it's obvious.
At least we've got some veterans on defense.
Oh, yeah.
So that's when we took the game. We said, you know what? We're not there across the board, but defensively, if you can play good defense, shoot, you got a shot.
Oh.
Looks like you're going to have a sellout today.
Oh, we've been sold out 10 straight years.
10 straight years?
Every game.
And
yeah.
54-2.
He knew what Stoops' record was in the stadium. That's interesting. 54-2. He was right. Deep on the pattern. Intercepted. Picked off by Brandon Underwood. And now a flag comes down way back beyond where the ball was intercepted, and I was looking back up the field and didn't see exactly what happened there. Ed, there are 2 flags down. Did we have a clip?
Well, it was Joaquin Iglesias. Looked like he got tied up, but what a nice play by Underwood. One-handed catch, transfer out of Ohio State.
After the interception, illegal block in the back. Number 21 on the defense. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Mike Mickens, a senior, makes a huge mistake because Underwood was already gone.
Pete, let me tell you something. They had the ball down at the Oklahoma 30. This penalty is going to put it almost back at like the 15-yard line.
Well, that's just not smart. Look, even if Underwood hadn't what appeared to look like outrun Iglesias, who was making a decent effort, you can't have that mistake. I mean, you're down, you're on the road, you get some momentum, and you make a mistake like that. But what a wonderful catch by Brandon Underwood. And that is a ball that Bradford, that's kind of new. He went 5 games last year without an interception. You don't expect him to throw a bad ball, and that was just a bad throw.
I think what he was trying to do is what you talked about so much last week in our 2 games, and that is put some air under it and let the receiver run under the football.
Unfortunately, it was the defender.
It was run under. We know that for sure. From the 18-yard line, it's going to be movement on the part of Cincinnati.
Ball start. Number 60 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Jason Kelsey, a sophomore out of Cleveland. Oklahoma, defensively, here are the Best Buy impact players.
Gerald McCoy, a sophomore, is becoming dominant. English led the league in sacks, missed 3 games. Ryan Reynolds, all that experience, they need it. Nick Harris, like a linebacker, strong safety at 230 pounds.
Running play will just go for a couple of yards, and that's it, as Travis Lewis is there to collect another tackle, and I think that's 4 for him already in his opening quarter.
Well, you just can't say enough with these mistakes. The penalty, Kelsey jumps off sides, the block in the back by Mickens have done to Cincinnati in what looked like would have been a good start in field position.
There's that middle screen. Gilliard, blocker in front. He's got speed. Open field at the 50. Cuts back against the grain. Still a foot race and caught from behind by Nick Harris, the strong safety who is 230 pounds.
And looking at coach's film yesterday and watching Cincinnati against Eastern Carolina, and you're going to see watch the linemen get out in front. We freeze it right here. The linemen do a great job with recognition that everybody's blocked, and they get downfield and do a wonderful job. Gilliard then, with good vision, sees more open field and gets a big gain.
From the 26. The running play goes inside the 20. That time it is Jacob Ramsey, and it's a shovel pass, which is as good as a running play. And Austin English records his first tackle.
And talking to Brent Venables yesterday, the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma, he said the screen, the shovel pass, the tight end screen close to the line of scrimmage, those substitute for running plays. Cincinnati does not have a great running game, don't have the backs they quite want in this system, but those are the little things they do to get that inside yardage.
And it also is anything to get misdirection against a very, very speedy Oklahoma defense. A little bit of what is called a smoke draw. Flag goes down, and he's going to be tackled at the 25-yard line, and that's going to be a loss of 5 yards on the play.
And they're going to back him up even more, holding on Cincinnati on that on the left side.
Nick Harris made the tackle, and I mean, the minute that they looked up to try to run the draw.
Holding, number 83 on the offense. Penalty is declined. Third down.
There were just crimson jerseys everywhere.
There's the takedown right there on Austin English, who did a nice job coming inside. And I like the decision to decline and put them at third down. Really have to trust your defense to decline that penalty near the red zone.
Well, where they need to take it is the 16-yard line. 14-0. Sooners on top. Could be the final play of this opening quarter. Rutsa from the shotgun. Going to run it. Turns it up 20 and is knocked down hard at the 17-yard line. That is going to be short of the first down, I believe. Travis Lewis with still another tackle. And that is the end of the first quarter. Oklahoma 14-0. This presentation of college football presented by Best Buy will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Welcome back to Norman. You look at Cincinnati head coach Brian Kelly, and it would appear that he's going to send his offensive unit back out on the field rather than the field goal unit.
And I think with the change at kicker and a senior who's never attempted a kick, this is the right thing. Now, don't get fancy. Either a quarterback sneak or take one of your 230 or 225-pound running backs and go straight ahead.
Now it looks as though Grutzer will go from the shotgun. Jacob Ramsey is the tailback standing just to his right. Throw back, got it complete. Not only the first down, it'll be first and goal at the 4-yard line. Really a well-conceived play as they threw back against the grain with the flow going to the right. And it is first and goal, they're going to say officially at the 5.
Well, pretty dangerous play here because Adrian Robinson was lined up over to the left, lined up away from the line of scrimmage, and the coverage by Lindy Holmes was actually very good, but give 6'5" Robinson the credit for going up and making a play on that ball.
This time from an I formation, straight ahead with the running play, and there's just not much there. Jeremy Beal with the tackle on Ramsey, and it'll be second down and goal.
And for Brian Kelly, who is the play caller and head coach, he's been doing that basically since he took over at 28 years old at Grand Valley State, a Division II school. And they kind of invented this offense up there. They use those tight ends just like Oklahoma all over the place. And now in the red zone, it doesn't look like you're going to get much running straight ahead. So I think go back to that misdirection and use those pass-catching tight ends in the end zone.
Yeah, the difficult thing, if you try to sweep with these running backs, Oklahoma will run them down from behind. There's the Statue of Liberty. Ramsey, and he'll be stopped, maybe a gain of a half-yard. That was not quite as well run as the one Boise
State. That's what I was just going to say, Ron, that this is not a play. Well, hey, listen, the good news is Oklahoma worked on this and learned how to defend it. They defend it very well against Ian Johnson.
It's like Patton, and Stoops could have just screamed from the sideline and said, we read that book.
Been there, done that. Didn't get a T-shirt.
Third down and goal. Grutzer rolls the pocket, throws it complete at the 1-yard line, and Ramsey will be denied the end zone. Jackson and Lindy Holmes combine on the stop.
Well, you've got to finish this run as a running back. Lindy Holmes at 201 pounds, he's not a small guy, has moved around from corner to safety. But that was a nice tackle by Brian Jackson, the corner.
Right back to the line of scrimmage. 10th play of the drive. Quarterback sneak over the top and waiting for a signal. Touchdown, Cincinnati.
And there Cincinnati does exactly what Oklahoma did to them earlier on that touchdown pass to Broyles. Defense thinks, oh, we're great. We stopped them on the 1-foot line. It's fourth down, and bam, they go right away. That's a nice job. Got it right behind that center, Chris Jurek, at 290 pounds. And good movement by the center on that play.
Brandon Yingling from Mason, Ohio, will attempt the extra point. And as they're standing out there counting, Yingling turned to his holder and said, we need one more. We don't have a full package here. Good pass, and he knocks it home.
Well, and Bob Stoops knew that they were running to the line, was trying to get a timeout. The official did not see him. Touchdown Cincinnati. All of a sudden, we have a ball game.
So Coach Kelly paces the far sideline, but in a far better mood, I would imagine, and I can certainly agree with him. His football team just used 4 minutes and 16 seconds, Ed, 10 plays, 82 yards, and it is a 7-point ball game.
And boy, did his defense need a breather. Oklahoma averaging right at about 2 minutes for their scoring drive. So Cincinnati in this game taking their sweet time.
Rodgers with the kick. Going to come down 2 yards deep, and this is Murray. He'll return it. Murray gets by one wave, then runs into his own man and is tackled at the 25. Well, let's take a look at our Aflac trivia question. And it is DeMarco Murray rushed for 5 touchdowns against North Texas in 2007. Who holds the Sooner record for most rushing touchdowns in a ball game?
I mean, Billy Sims is the first one, but it can't be that because that's too obvious. And I think I can actually look that one up in the book. So
no, we're not going to let you. You have to play fair on this. Oklahoma will play conservative. You know, you can take a get. There are so many in traditional guys that have been All-Americans here. You can pick Billy Vessels, any number.
Who's that guy for the Vikings now? What's his old? What's Adrian Peterson?
Yeah,
he's okay. But I don't think he ever had that big rushing touchdown.
Big opening there for DeMarco Murray, and the sophomore from Las Vegas, high stepping it all the way to the 37-yard line. Terrell Byrd defensively for Cincinnati. And again, the no huddle, and they speeded up. This time Bradford started calling out signals. Cincinnati was bouncing around trying to make sure they got set, and now he's going to reset his backfield. That's Murray going from his right over to his left, and he throws it, got a man open. Defender took a wrong step, and as a result it is going to be a very long game. That is Iglesias, as Brandon Underwood forced him out.
And Oklahoma right now, and I love this, as soon as they get it, the coaches started waving, let's go, let's go, let's go. Some of the offensive linemen lost weight in the offseason to get ready, and they're going fast.
Well, one of those load holds at 337 pounds, lost 13. And may not seem like a lot as far as the total package, but he said it has helped him. You slow it down just a little bit, and you see a triple set wide receiver set to the left of your screen. Let's clap the fullback in motion. That's the direction they go. And they bounce it outside, and picking up the first down is Chris Brown. He'll take it all the way to the 12-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 Oklahoma with a gain of 11.
You know, it's interesting talking about this offensive line yesterday with Kevin Wilson, the offensive coordinator, who used to coach the offensive line, now coaching fullbacks and tight ends. He was very blunt with us, talking about how much they needed to play more consistently.
Bradford to throw in the flat, has it complete, takes it close to the goal line, and the official says he stepped out of bounds, I believe, at the 1, and that's Matt Clapp, the fullback.
Clapp, a young man who was very promising early in his career. They had so many guys, and that's a defender. I believe that is D'Angelo Smith down for Cincinnati. They cannot lose their free safety. But Clapp, a guy who redshirted last year. They had so many guys, and they knew that they were going to play Brody Eldridge there. And they really like this guy all over the field, not just at fullback.
Waiting for the defender to get back up to the sideline so that he can be looked at.
Oh, they don't need to review this. Come on. You know, I like instant replay until it's so obvious that the call was right on the field. Clapp was down. He was hit. His shoulder and everything hit at about the half-yard line. This is the right spot.
D'Angelo Smith is the man, as we stated, had the hit, and there it is right there, and he comes down. It would appear that he did not hit the cone when he was in the air. I assume what they're looking at is if he did, it would have been a touchdown.
Yeah, if he would have hit, if the ball would have hit the pylon, you have a touchdown. But it was so clear on the couple of replays we already showed that it was not. I just think sometimes you have to be a little more conservative, because now Oklahoma has something going. And you look, they're knocking on the door, and Cincinnati is going to have a yeoman's effort to keep them out.
After review, the play stands is called on the field. First down.
Well, everybody watching at home knew that that was the case.
So the ball is on the half-yard line, and Cincinnati quickly gets their defense back out there, and from the near sideline, the Sooners bring their offensive set. Chris Brown remains at tailback, and he'll have Matt Clapp, the fullback, in front of him. 14-7 Sooners are trying to make it a 14-point lead again. Terrell Byrd is the man who moved. And
offside, 95 on the defense. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. First down.
Well, they call him the Cincinnati Birdman. Of course, he's built like Warren Sapp quite a bit, actually. I played against Warren Sapp in the NFL. He's short and a thick guy.
Quick snap. Brown going to walk it in. Touchdown, Oklahoma at the 10:50 mark. Matt Clapp, and they didn't change the play because Clapp, even when they came off sides a bit ago, went out and took the defender out and put him flat on his back, and they ran that same direction this time.
You know, when we watched the film of Oklahoma offensively against Tennessee Chattanooga, it was hard to tell. Tennessee Chattanooga was just not good enough to be here playing that game, and you saw that efficiency, but boy, it's just rolled right over to a good quality opponent in Cincinnati.
Jimmy Stevens with the extra point attempt, and he's got his third one of the afternoon. So with 10:50 left until halftime, our new score, Oklahoma 21, Cincinnati 7. You're watching ESPN College Football on ABC. Again this year. It was their year before last, and of course a young man by the name of Kevin Durant had played for the Supersonics, still plays for that team, but he knows that arena well. In fact, he had a wild finish against the Kansas Jayhawks, his only year to have played at the University of Texas. Here's the kick. Way's kick comes down for the 5, and this is Gilliard. Gilliard breaks by a tackle, got a big opening. 45, 50, still on his feet, and finally is going to be stopped inside the 35. And I can tell you, special teams coaches at Oklahoma are not going to be real wild about that. Some real bad tackling.
And give credit to Cincinnati. They opened up a hole in the middle. And Gilliard has shown this time and time again. There's guys in position to make tackles, and he's just absolutely running by guys. I mean,
62 yards on the return.
Yeah, we saw that yesterday on film, and you just don't know. They played Eastern Kentucky, and even though that's a good FCS 1AA program, you don't know how good they're going to be this year, but Gilliard looked this good against those guys.
One of the few times this afternoon that Grutza has gone under center. Gives it to Goebel, and he's tackled immediately by Ryan Reynolds. And let's check in down on the sideline with Todd Harris. Todd?
Well, Ron and Ed, I know football is king in the state of Oklahoma, but they got some competition. The Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, this is not Kevin Durant, but it's better. It's the man who signs his checks, the principal owner of the Oklahoma City Thunder, Clay Bennett. Thanks for joining us. First of all, what has been the reception you've got from the community with the NBA coming to town?
It's just been amazing statewide. The interest is deep and broad, and so much excitement about this team.
Well, speaking of excitement, Cincinnati now driving down, and it looks like they're going to take it right in line. We'll continue here with Clay Bennett, the principal owner of the new Oklahoma City Thunder. The name. A lot of people want to know the name, where you came up with it, and the colors.
Well, we like the name. It's a name that speaks of power and energy, and we like it's clear, and we think it's going to create a lot of opportunity for our game presentation, and speaks of an identity we hope to establish with the team, of being a team that works hard and is a force to be reckoned with.
Now, unlike an expansion team, this is not an expansion team. You got some great players. Ron Franklin talked about the great Kevin Durant. What are your optimistic predictions for next year?
Well, we've got a great core of players. We've got Kevin, Jeff Green, Russell Westbrook, Nick Collison's back. We've got a really strong group that we're going to build around, and we're going to get better and better.
Well, the folks at Three Stripes were happy enough to set me up. I don't know if I look good enough to play for you guys right now, but keep me in mind.
We'll keep you in mind, but don't hold out too far. Thank you.
There's Clay Bennett being brutally honest. Back up to you guys.
Okay. First of all, as the interview was going on, they did almost score, but there was not just a holding, there was a tackle in the middle. That's what brought the play back.
Well, and it's Gerald McCoy who, boy, he's just starting to come into his own as just a sophomore, the Big 12 freshman of the year, through a great move on Jason Kelsey, and Kelsey had no choice but to hold him. And again, Cincinnati calls a timeout here. As soon as they get something positive, you know, they've only had that one drive, but they keep hurting themselves with these penalties.
So we'll take a timeout. 9:43 left until halftime. Oklahoma 21, Cincinnati 7. So we're back. Number 4, Oklahoma with a 14-point lead over Cincinnati. And here is the answer to today's Aflac trivia question. DeMarco Murray rushed for 5 touchdowns against North Texas last year. Who holds the Sooner record for the most rushing touchdowns in a game? Ed, do you have a guess?
You know what? I'm going out on a limb here. I'm going with Troy Aikman.
Okay. Quentin Griffin. Quentin, who led this ball club to a national championship down in the Orange Bowl against Florida State.
Yeah, I remember that game against Texas, and boy, you really looked at that young man low to the ground, so powerful when he got around the line of scrimmage.
Third down, they're 0 of 5 on third down conversions, but they're 2 of 3 on fourth down. Great protection, and what a catch. That'll be enough for the first down by Marty Gilliard. Good heavens, what an effort. 22 yards in the pass play, and also give credit to that offensive front. A really nice job by Cincinnati keeping Oklahoma at bay.
And Lindy Holmes was right there, ball thrown a little high, but Gilliard, look, they returned all of their main receivers from last year, so all Broots has got to do is try to fill those Ben Mock shoes right now. Not quite that accurate, but he's figuring it out.
Over the middle, the ball is tipped. That was Reynolds, the junior linebacker, who goes high in the air to knock it down.
Reynolds, a young man who played outside linebacker last year, has battled some injuries, had 2 knee surgeries, now playing that middle linebacker. And every quarterback will tell you, in a 4-3 defense where there's a true middle linebacker, that's the guy who always gets you on those over-the-middle throws because he just can't see them.
On second down, they swing it out of the backfield. That is Goebel, and he'll take it inside the 15 to the 13-yard line. Tackled by Lindy Holmes.
Well, and I really like the play calling by Brian Kelly. They just don't flinch. They're on the road, and this is a game where he feels like they have a lot to prove. He said, okay, you won 10 games last year, first time since '51. You finished 17th. It doesn't matter. You have to do it in games like this, and that's why he scheduled this game. This was not on the schedule when Brian Kelly got to Cincinnati.
Well, he's got a third down coming up. Needs to take it to the 10 of Oklahoma. They trail 21-7. Looking, lots of time, got it complete, and there again is Gilliard, and he will have plenty for the first down. It'll be first and goal from the 6-yard line for the Bearcats.
Well, and they're happy to have Gilliard back. He sat out the 2006 season for academic reasons. Got him back last year, and of course all of the receivers had big numbers with Ben Mock in at quarterback. And boy, he reminds me of Dell, the young man we saw at Michigan State, how he catches the ball with his hands and his feet are already moving in open space.
Goetze with the first and goal. Pressure coming. That was Beal after him, throws it, intercepted in the corner of the end zone, and that is Dominique Franks, the sophomore out of Tulsa Union High School.
Well, you just can't make this throw, and this is something that Brian Kelly and his quarterback coach, Craig Forrest, have worked on with their senior quarterback. Early in his career, his interceptions were more than his touchdowns, and they wanted to work on that. But this coming back, he just needed to throw this in the stands. And Franks was the corner, read that the whole way because his receiver stopped in the corner of the end zone. So now he's got no responsibilities. You just don't make that throw as a senior quarterback. Throw it away. You've got another down. Give momentum right back to Oklahoma's offense.
DeMarco Murray back in the ballgame at tailback, and he gets the pitch with a blocker in front. And it's going to be about 5 tough yards on the play. Well, college football action kicks off at ESPN tonight in the Sunshine State. Miami at number 5, Florida. College football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels at ESPN tonight at 8 Eastern. Talk a little bit more about that in a moment as with this quick offense. They got another play on the board. And the pitch reverse, double flag is down. It's going to be Iglesias stopped at the 33-yard line, but we're going to have a hold that'll bring it all back.
Yeah, Brody Eldridge.
Holding, number 83 on the offense, 10-yard penalty, second down.
And Eldridge, a guy who you just don't expect this out of, lined up right there. He's, most coaches say, the best blocker on the team, but he's locked in with the defender from Cincinnati and just will not let go, working against Ricardo Matthews, a defensive tackle. That's
the first OU penalty of the afternoon. And by the way, Brody Eldridge could well be a Aflac trivia question in the near future. And I'll tell you why after this play. There's a middle screen, thrown complete. Good for only about 5 yards on the play. Eldridge was all Big 12 freshman last year, right?
Fullback, yeah.
Fullback, yeah. Never carried the ball. It was all as a blocker. So now, and that's a great trivia question, isn't it?
Yeah, how can you get all conference in what's considered a running back position with 0 carries? But the coaches talk all the time as Underwood is down, the cornerback from transfer from Ohio State. And Cincinnati is good at that secondary, but not a whole lot of veteran depth. But Eldridge, a guy who played that fullback, and we talked about Matt Clapp, who actually redshirted last year because they knew Eldridge could fulfill that spot. By another year for Clapp. And, Eldridge, one of the hardest working guys on the team. I'm sure not very happy about his last play.
Underwood assisted to the sideline, so we'll get a mention to him. D'Angelo Smith, of course, that means he moves to the outside at corner, which is where he had, what, 8 interceptions last year. So he can play either one and play it tremendously well. It's time from the shotgun on 3rd down. Bradford looking and throws it complete, and that's his big tight end, Jermaine Gresham, who already has a touchdown this afternoon. And it's good for the first down, a gain of 17.
Well, one thing that Jermaine Gresham has worked on all his entire career, he had problems with drops. As a matter of fact, dropped a couple of balls last week that maybe were touchdowns, but this is a nice job. He used to have to turn his body and catch that with his body. He's worked very hard catching it with his hands.
This is Murray, who weaves his way through traffic out across the 40 to around the 43. Cedric Tolbert, a senior out of Xenia, Ohio, makes the tackle in the secondary for the Bearcats. I keep looking at the clock. We still have just over 6 minutes to play in the ball game, and Oklahoma has been averaging just over 2 minutes per touchdown drive. And this is only going to be a gain of a yard by DeMarco Murray, so it'll bring up a 3rd down situation.
And so you lose Alan Patrick from last year's team, a 1,000-yard rusher. DeMarco Murray, who dislocated his kneecap against Texas Tech, had surgery, gained some weight. And then, of course, we've seen Chris Brown, what he can do. Boy, you said an embarrassment of riches about the linebackers here at OU. Offensively, they're in another tax bracket.
3rd down. Bradford zips the pass, threw it into coverage, and a flag is going to come in late. And now here comes another flag. D'Angelo Smith might be the man who was flagged, but the difficult thing is those flags were thrown.
Pass interference, number 6 on the defense. Ball be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
I'm not questioning whether the flags were good or not, but they were thrown right in front of the head coach, and they were a little late, and it did not make him any happier.
Yeah,
and I don't blame him.
If it's late, they don't like it, but no question that Smith got there a little early, and you know he's over there because Underwood goes out, and even though he played cornerback all last year, played it well, tied for the national lead in interceptions. His timing, he hasn't practiced that timing of when to get to the receiver.
Tailback position, and a nice job defensively. Guess who? Big Terrell Bird strings that play out and makes the tackle for a loss on Chris Brown.
Well, this drive is pedestrian, considering what we have seen in the first 3 scoring drives for Oklahoma.
141, 226, 153.
Total time 6 minutes. You know, back in the mid-'80s when they ran the wishbone, all of their drives for touchdowns were over 6 minutes.
Pass over the middle, and that one was intercepted. Joaquin Iglesias had the ball come off of him, and the carom goes to Brad Jones, who makes the pickoff for Cincinnati.
And give D'Angelo Smith a ton of credit. He made a great jump on the ball, got his right arm in there right at the right time. We may take a look to see if this was a catch, but a great play by Smith jumping that ball.
So we're back 21-7, and that drive ended because of an interception by Brad Jones. And you'll watch the carom right here. Sam Bradford throws it, and the ball tips off Iglesias, and there is the pick right there. And that, by the way, is a career high. First time that Bradford has thrown 2 interceptions in a ball game. So that means that Dustin Grutza comes on the field. He's got 4:43 to work with. Try to cut this to a 7-point ball game, or at least to an 11-point ball game. Goodman was the man in motion, but he throws back to the near side, and a flag comes down, and that is going to be defensive holding as he lost the receiver, looked up and grabbed him at the last moment.
Yeah, that's a linebacker, Keenan Clayton, who's playing strong side linebacker after safety last year.
Pass interference, number 22 on the defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
And let's go back to New York and Matt Weiner. Matt, what do you have for us?
Ron, this Sports Center right now is presented by Vizio, and teams and organizers are reacting to Tropical Storm Hannah up and down the East Coast today. The Phils-Mets game scheduled for today was postponed till tomorrow. Play was suspended at the U.S. Open, and tonight's scheduled NASCAR Sprint Cup race happens tomorrow afternoon on ESPN, 1 Eastern.
Okay, Matt, thanks so much. This running play will go across midfield as Goebel will carry it. Reynolds and Travis Lewis combining on the stop, and I assume that means that Serena will not get an opportunity to win her 3rd U.S. Open tonight if that schedule gets pushed back that far.
If I'm Cincinnati, I'd let some of this clock melt. I know they're in no huddle, but boy, I don't want to see Sam Bradford back on the field. I know he's got those 2 interceptions, but in the 3 scoring drives, I'd want to eat all of this clock.
Throws this one complete to Gilliard. Except the first down. Gilliard has been the guy who has done absolutely everything right today now. Dominique Franks makes a tackle on him.
You know, it's amazing. A guy like Gilliard, you find out very quickly, he actually came to Cincinnati as a defensive back. And I'm sure the coaches immediately said, wait a minute. He's got sticky hands and can run. Yeah, let's go ahead and switch him.
Empty backfield. Roots are the only man back there, and 5 receivers are split out. Now here comes Goebel back into the formation. Shovel pass to him, and he will be tackled at the 40-yard line by Travis Lewis. Travis may be in double figures. We'll get that before we go to halftime. He may be in double figures in the first half for the number of stops that he's had.
And he's a guy they didn't even think would be able to play. Banged his ankle around. There's been a couple of guys at that outside linebacker spot. Mike Bolligan. We're hoping to see Austin Box, a young freshman that they're very excited about. See if he can stand up and play, but he's been banged up with a left knee that had to be scoped. So in steps Lewis playing well.
Lewis 8 tackles and 1 sack. Pretty good start. Roots keeps it. The quarterback with a stiff arm will be dragged down. And here comes a flag. Is that going to be face mask? If it is, all of a sudden Cincinnati in great field position at 2:42.
Well, they had him by the collar, you know, and there's that new horse collar rule, but you have to pull him down immediately.
Personal foul, face mask on the defense. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. First down.
Well, it's Brian Jackson, and Grutza does a really good job of faking the handoff and then making the first guy miss. Yeah, that's not it. Remember, they have thrown out incidental face mask. There's no longer a 5-yarder, it's a 15. I think Bob Stoops does have an argument there. The head has to turn or be twisted. It didn't look like Grutza's head was turned or twisted by Brian Jackson.
Bob's head was twisted, though, when he spoke with that official. And the official's head twisted. 2:27 left until halftime. Cincinnati trying to make it a 7-point ball game. Grutza lobs it in the end zone, has a man touchdown, and I mean he had gotten wide open. That's Goodman. Dominic, the senior out of Coleraine High School in Cincinnati with a 15-yard score.
Lendy Holmes, the safety, got caught peeking. He just never, ever turned his attention towards the receiver. He was staring into the backfield and lost track of Goodman, and a nice job of recognition by Brutze. Let's not forget, fifth-year senior, made a bunch of starts in his career. We all remember Ben Malk from last year, but this guy has experience to find the open guy when it breaks down.
Yingling with the extra point, and he just hit the upright and missed it. So that experiment with the kickers is still going on, I would assume, at Cincinnati with that. Extra point is no good, but watch this play right here. Deep into the end zone, and I mean, boy, almost the first guy out to practice is what he looked like. 21-13 OU.
Out, you know, they run the hurry up, so this is right in their wheelhouse. They have plenty of time.
Madhu in at running back, and the ball thrown very high, intended for Jermaine Gresham. Jermaine 6'6", but that one was still too high.
Really feels like Bradford has gotten out of the rhythm that he had in that first quarter. And the last couple of drives before this one, they didn't quite do at the fast hurry up we had seen in that first quarter. And I wonder if he got used to that. And now he's out of that rhythm because he's had a couple of bad passes in the last few series.
Turns and says something to Madhu, and the ball was snapped, and he was not looking for it. And Oklahoma is really fortunate they didn't lose the football. The ball was snapped, and I believe it hit Bradford on the arm.
That is their second timeout of the half.
And wisely, Cincinnati takes the timeout because now you have Oklahoma behind the sticks, and Cooper, the center, did not get. He got the signal from Bradford to snap it. He didn't know that Bradford had called off the snap, and now you have 4th down and 11. So Cincinnati all of a sudden takes their timeout. You've got to think that Oklahoma is going to punt here.
You can see John Cooper kind of disgusted with the whole situation. Senior out of Fort Collins, Colorado. Well, right now we have a break. Let's take a look at the Pacific Life game summary.
Well, it sure looked like this was going to start to become a runaway. Broyles got open, and then Jermaine Gresham with his great speed and stiff arm. Good block by Manny Johnson on the corner. And then Cincinnati, all of a sudden, it looked like all the momentum in this place and the entire city of Norman was on the side of Oklahoma, and a good job by Brutze to find the open Goodman.
So now it is up to Mike Nall, who has been a very inactive guy both last week and this week because of the prowess of the offense. The punter in for what, his second punt of the afternoon. D'Angelo Smith is the deep man for the Bearcats. Good high hanging spiral, going to turn over, but it's a little too far. It'll go 5 yards into the end zone. Cincinnati will have 76, or let's call it 66 seconds to play with. They're down 21-13. Ron Franklin along with Ed Cunningham, and
Todd Harris is joining us today.
Harris is with us today.
Great.
Yeah, the man from Thunder.
He's got all that gear. We're going to have to get some from him.
The new nickname of the Oklahoma City NBA basketball franchise, the Thunder. We'll talk more about that in the second half. Great to have Todd along with us today. Jacob Ramsey checks in at tailback. And let's see if it's conservatism as far as Cincinnati's concerned, or if they try to make some noise here. Play action, got a man wide open, a blown coverage, and across midfield, the ball is punched out, and Oklahoma has gotten on the football.
I think this is going to be reviewed. From my angle, it looked like Goodman touched the ball while he was out of bounds and the ball was out of bounds.
A late flag comes in, and what we need to look at is the sequence, as Ryan Reynolds is the man who punched it out. But who was out of bounds when the ball was punched?
It looked to me, this ball looked like it was out of bounds.
After the play was over, personal foul, number 85 on the offense, 15-yard penalty. It will be first down.
Okay, here we go again. Now, he comes right here. Reynolds will punch the ball out. That ball is very much in play, and Oklahoma gets on the football right there. That should be Oklahoma football.
it looked to me like Goodman touched the ball.
He was in bounds, though.
It looked like the right side of him. Watch his right leg.
No, see, when he punches, he has not stepped close to being out of bounds. That ball is in play.
Right there.
No, it doesn't matter if he does not have possession.
Gotcha.
The ball is recovered by Oklahoma. That's Oklahoma football. Nick Harris. Then the penalty came, and we'll see if they explain a little bit more, but him trying to recover it out of bounds has nothing to do with anything. The ball is still in play and is recovered by an Oklahoma player there. You agree, don't you?
Well, they're getting a review. I mean, the thing that I would think is the offensive player was out of bounds when he touched the ball in the field of play.
Doesn't matter. If he's out of bounds, he does not have the right to recover it. I mean, he does, but
yeah, he's in contact there with the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if they went ahead and overturned this, but then they get the penalty on top of it. You know, even if the big play, again, Cincinnati gets a big play and hurts themselves with a penalty.
It was Marcus Barnett.
It didn't look like Barnett was really swinging.
Just kind of a little slack. Not a place to do it.
No,
you had the entire jury box was there.
You didn't know where this play may end up.
I hope they'll give a full explanation, because this is one of those that a lot of officials clinics, and they get these reviews every week. We'll look at this one right here and say, how would you have called it?
After review, a Cincinnati player who was out of bounds touched the loose ball. By rule, the ball becomes dead at that point. It will be Cincinnati's ball at the spot of the fumble. First down.
Well, now the question becomes...
No. But I want to ask one question. I understand what he says, by rule. But why then, if he doesn't have possession of the ball?
Right, but now he's out of the field of play, so he touches it. The rule is connection to the out of bounds. The ball is now out of bounds. That's
without possession.
Exactly. Yeah. Even when it's touching. I agree with you, Ron. I've always thought that's a little bit of a hokey.
Will be enforced from the spot of the fumble, 15 yards. It will be 1st and 10.
Yeah, and that obviously hurts the big gain by Cincinnati by 15 yards. But I've always thought that's a little hokey too. But the rule has been, if the ball is touching a player who's out of bounds, ball connected to player who's out of bounds, ball is out of bounds. Is the quote-unquote logic behind that.
All righty, it is 1st and 10, and Cincinnati has the ball at their own 48. They got 53 seconds with which to work. Middle screen and a hit at the 45-yard line as Gilliard makes the reception. And the Bearcats very quickly back to the line of scrimmage. Travis Lewis now in double figures with the first half tackles. Blitz is on, and the ball is thrown away. Lewis is the man who was tracking him down. That ball was behind the line of scrimmage when it was thrown, and I think that's what he's being told right now.
Well, you're allowed to throw it away once you get outside of the tackle box.
There is no penalty for intentional grounding. The quarterback was outside the pocket, and the pass went beyond the line of scrimmage.
Well, that's the part where I didn't see it. As long as it goes beyond the line at any point, but it didn't look like it to me. Yeah. And I hear the Oklahoma fans, because that ball went high in the stands, and I watched it the whole way. Still didn't look like it went beyond the line of scrimmage, which is the rule.
At 3rd down, and they will scrimmage from the 45. Quick pass into the flat. I mean, Oklahoma is all over that one. It's Dominic Goodman. Goodman made the reception, and he just had no place to go.
And how big a deal is that personal foul penalty now on Marcus Barnett?
So we'll take a timeout. 17 seconds left until halftime. It's still Oklahoma 21-13. So we are back. Cincinnati is going to kick it away. Huber with the kick, trying to hit this one so that it cannot be returned. And it's a dandy. Going to be touchdown inside the 2-yard line. D'Angelo Smith down there to make the touch dead. 6 seconds showing on the clock.
And Bob Stoops has to be breathing a huge sigh of relief. I mean, this game, talk about the tale of 2 quarters. And, Bradford, who started out sensational, fell off a little bit there. He's not going to get a stat here. Maybe well, he'll get a rush because he'll either take a knee or he'll probably want to go forward because they're on the 1-yard line and not get the safety. But Grutza with that interception in the end zone was huge. Just a ball he should not have thrown. And he'll go through the season. They'll work that stuff out, but don't want to do it on the road against the number 14 in the country.
So straight ahead. Bradford will kill the clock. 3 seconds down to 2, and we are at halftime here in Norman on what has been an extremely interesting first half, with the Sooners coming out and scoring 2 touchdowns before you could say boo. Todd Harris, let's go down to the sideline and you.
Coach, your 2 opening possessions were fantastic. You moved down with precision. How do you get your offense back into that kind of synchronicity?
Well, you know, we got a little greedy. The next couple series we came out, tried to hit some big plays, almost had them and didn't execute. So we just got to get back to having some good balance, run and throw.
Thank you, Coach.
So stay tuned for the Cooper Tires halftime report after these messages. Sooners 21-13.
You know, scientific.
Way you could put it, it looked as though this thing might be a rout. Not so. We talked off the top of the telecast that this Cincinnati ball club won 10 last year, had 17 people returning takeaways. They had 42. It's tied for the national lead, and they had some big takeaways in that first half. They're back in the ball game. That's the most important thing. You know, how did they get back in that thing, though, and back up almost even with Oklahoma?
Oklahoma got away from some of the stuff they wanted to do, and Cincinnati started taking advantage of it. And it's become very obvious that Marshawn, call me Marty Gilliard, has become a guy that Dustin Grutza is very comfortable with. We saw on tape his game last week against Eastern Carolina, watching him from last year. He's very good in the open field. So what do you do with a guy who can run in space? Let him return kicks. His numbers in the first half are gaudy. You're in Big 12 country. This makes people think of Jeremy Maclin. And for Oklahoma, I suspect Chris Brown will get much more involved in this second half at running back.
This kick right here is going to go 9 yards deep into the end zone, and they will not return it. Todd Harris, third member of our broadcast team. What do you have for us?
Well, Ron, I had a chance to talk with head coach Brian Kelly of Cincinnati. In all my years of covering college football from the sidelines, I've never had a coach come out and the first thing he says is give a glowing report of his opponent. Down by 8 points, the first thing Brian Kelly wanted to talk about was how impressed he was with the Oklahoma speed. He said, if we need to take care of down and distance, not play sloppy, he said, we're going to be in great shape. He said, you know, we're only 1 touchdown away from tying this thing up. He said, we got another half of football. Let's just go out there and get it. It's hard not to buy into the Brian Kelly formula because he is so enthusiastic. Ron?
Well, Todd, that's a great point to make, because from day one when he came into that city, that's the kind of mental positioning that he has brought with him. And on the first down, they're going to go with a running play of all things. OU's been deadly against the run, and they pick up 15 yards.
You know,
Ramsey.
I wonder if Brian Kelly didn't get a psychology degree at Assumption College, because that's a little reverse psychology he's pulling. And, you know, it's like one of those deals where if you believe it, then everybody else is going to believe it. If you respect your opponent and your players and say, hey, you're only down 8, look how great they are, then they say, well, we can play with them. Let's just go play. I love it.
His arm was hit. I think that Jeremy Beal might have gotten a hand up. And right now, let's take a look at the Pacific Life game summary.
You know, it's amazing as we look at these stats. Here's some stats that will blow you away. Of course, 275 total yards, 148 of those for Oklahoma on their first 2 drives. Their last 6 drives after that, only 138 yards, 1 touchdown, and those 2 turnovers. And that was an amazing stat you gave. Bradford, a career high with 2 interceptions. That's amazing.
By the way, that was McCoy who tipped his arm on the pass. And that's going to be Jeremy Beal who will make the tackle on this running play after a gain of about 3 yards. So Cincinnati goes right back to taking care of business. As you look at Cincinnati 0-14 all time against top 5 teams. Beal, who got that tackle just a moment ago with 6 stops. Has thrown back into the boundary, and he would have been much better off to have knocked that ball down or not have caught it, because that's going to be Goodman for a loss. Back at the 35-yard line. By the way, I appreciate the replay officials visiting at halftime, and exactly right, Ed, on the extension of the man out of bounds, the extension meaning that the ball is out of play. The thing that they were worried about was, did they bring the ball back to where it should have been, because it was a forward fumble, and it goes back to where the ball was fumbled, and they were all over both of those things. They brought it back to the 37. Here's Hubert's kick. You can see why this guy is an All-American. Franks is the deep man. 20, 25 at the 30, and will be spun around. He picked up about 10 more yards, and it looked as though he had.
You got to think Franks is going to be a bigger part of the return game. We mentioned last year, Oklahoma 78th in the country in punt returns. Franks had the longest return last year of 36 yards. So starting to see them get a little feel, trying to get over something that was a weakness last season.
Do you think we're going to see more of what we saw early in the ball game from the Oklahoma Sooners? Spread and run them quick.
I think they're going to pound it a little bit too with this big offensive line. Just some straight zone plays. Murray and Brown between the tackles.
This is Murray. Has 5, has 10. Counted off at about 18 yards, and the flag came from way across the way. And now there is pushing and shoving back behind the line of scrimmage.
It looked like Brandon Walker and Connor Barwin. That's where the flag was thrown.
Personal foul, face mask, number 79 on the offense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
It's actually Load Holt.
Well, that would have been an 18-yard gain. He raced that, add 10 more yards on it, unless.
Now let's see. There's the left tackle if we freeze it. Well, boy. I didn't see Load Holt do anything.
Wait, if it's a spotless foul, then that happened well downfield. There's the penalty.
Oh, you know what? I think that play probably didn't happen. The line of scrimmage probably happened downfield after.
That's what I mean. It has to happen because it's only a 1-yard penalty. Murray reverses his field and spins off a tackle out across the 40. And by golly, will pick up the first down. We've got all kind of strange things happen in this ball game today. Corey Smith is the man who made the tackle.
Well, it was interesting hearing Coach Stoops talk to Todd Harris on the way out. You could tell that the guy from Youngstown, Ohio, who played at Iowa, wanted his team to run the ball a little bit more in the second half, and that's what we get.
Ball start, number 72 on the offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
So that left side of the offensive line with the back-to-back penalties here costing them 15 yards.
This is a very veteran group. You don't expect this to happen. Combined first and second string coming into today's game. 137 starts across this line. But we heard from Coach Wilson, the offensive coordinator, looking for more high-level consistency throughout the season.
This is Brown, and he's going to be collared after a gain of about 1 on the play. And I'll tell you, there are things beginning to go on after the play on every snap now, and the officials are hustling very quickly to make sure that they keep this thing under control. Feelings are a little high right now. There's a pass caught 48-yard line by Emmanuel Johnson, senior out of Gilmer, Texas.
And this is a little nitpicky, but Bradford is not exactly on spot. How accurate he was in that first quarter. That one he threw to the outside, and Johnson had no choice but to go down. If he keeps that back to the inside and up, Johnson can probably turn and pick up the first down.
Murray back in the game at tailback, but they split him out. And the pass over the middle is caught by the tight end Gresham. And that'll be enough for the first down at the 46-yard line.
And you're starting to see, with Gresham in his body, Of course, he's not lined up as a tight end because he's walked out to an inside receiver position. And Bradford in there, and it's just that huge body that he can put between himself and Manilak to make that catch.
Murray, nothing to the left, tries to bounce it to the right, lost the football at the 49-yard line. And the officials are saying it is Oklahoma football. Manilak is the man who made the hit and probably caused that ball to come loose.
And look who comes in at running back for Oklahoma. Brown, the guy who doesn't put the ball on the ground. Murray goes to make the move, and it was a nice tackle by Manilak, but not enough to cause a fumble.
Play action, wide open over the middle. There's the tight end Gresham, and Gresham with a nice gainer. They're going to say all the way down to the 24.5-yard line.
And this is what's called the tight end running down the seam. You put two receivers on there, so the outside linebacker Corey Smith has to widen out, and that opens up that seam. When you hear about a tight end seam, that's Gresham working with that receiver. Outside linebacker runs away, he just runs right where he was.
Bradford went back under center. He's got a pretty good size hole there as he'll take it down to the 15-yard line. And again on that play, we had Quentin Chaney bumping away with one of the defensive backs after the play was over, Torrey Cornett. Second down, 8. 9 minutes, 35 seconds left to play, third quarter. 21-13 Oklahoma. The Sooners are threatening. In fact, they're beyond threatening. Iglesias with the touchdown reception deep in the right corner of the end zone. And Oklahoma makes it a 27-13 ball game.
Excellent pump by Sam Bradford. This was a hitch and go. The receiver fakes like he's just going to run. Iglesias is just going to run a little 6-7-yard hitch. Bradford looks that way, throws his shoulder, cornerback bites, and then throws a perfect ball. That's one ball he throws really well, is that fade into the corner of the end zone.
Stevens to attempt the extra point. And he's got it.
And as the sophomore who struggled a bit there in the second quarter, and it was the play of the running game that got them back on offense. 28-13 Oklahoma.
Welcome back to Norman. 28-13. 9:29 left to play in the third quarter.
Now the question is, can Cincinnati answer this? They had answers in that second quarter. Feel like Oklahoma's going to go back to what was working in the first quarter, mixing in the run, making those safeties come down a little bit, and then being able to let Bradford's arm on those deep throws loft it up under some very good receivers, over some good receivers.
Better not kick it to Gilliard again. He had the 1 of 62 on 3 kickoff returns. He has averaged 44.3. And here he comes again. And he's loose at the 40. The 30, finally some help, but it's too late, and he dives for the end zone in his touchdown, 97 yards.
Well, that was awfully prophetic of you, Ron, to say to not kick it to Gilliard. And hey,
well,
listen,
unless you wanted him to have a higher average, so they did.
And now he does. It didn't look to me like Gilliard stepped out of bounds. It was very good pursuit there at the end of the play.
What I kept looking up at, though, is to see if there were some swifter people that were in a group further toward midfield, and there were none. And Gilliard was not wasting any time making it down the sideline.
It was an excellent effort there at the end of the play. But Jamel Fleming came from all the way across the field. And good job by Gilliard to know that if he kept running, he would not have had it. So he took a dive.
That's the first time in 13 years that Cincinnati has had a kick return. I remember at the production meeting last night, we were talking about some of those figures, and we said it's unusual.
Going on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
For it to have been that many years since they scored a touchdown. Well, they did it very emphatically here against a really good football team.
You know what's crazy? Cincinnati, okay, they're out of the top 25, even though they were number 17 at the end of the year, returned 16 guys. They were picked to finish 5th in the Big East by the media that cover the Big East. I don't know what they missed with guys like Gilliard and Brutza coming back after being a 2-year starter. If this is the 5th best team in the Big East, that's a much better conference than they showed last week.
Maybe too many of those writers are concentrating or thinking about the pros rather than the colleges in that part of the world. And we're going to hold it right here with 9:13 left to play in the 3rd quarter. We got ourselves a ball game.
Gilliard, excellent job that time, and just absolute breakdown by Brian Jackson. The defensive back covering kicks. He's got to break down in a good move. And, you know, Ron, you were talking a bit ago about Brian Kelly. And you just mentioned something that's really interesting about covering the pros. When he got to Cincinnati, of course,
he lit him up.
He went to the Big East Media Day and absolutely laid into
because nobody was there from Cincinnati.
And it wasn't like he was picking up the pieces of a bad program. Mark D'Antonio and his staff had done an amazing job.
You're right.
Taking them to a bowl game that, of course, Brian Kelly finished off with a win in the International Bowl when he came in with 34 days to prep. And this year he said, you know, I've started to keep my mouth shut because now we have to prove it on the field. Well, they're starting to 347 yards all-purpose for Marty Gilliard, and started his career as a defensive back. That's a pretty good turnaround for him.
Well, I can tell you this, that people at Miami of Ohio, at Akron, at Marshall, at Rutgers, and UConn, and down the rest of the schedule, when they see this performance here today, it's not over by a long shot. They're going to have even more to worry about, as this kick return will be taken by Murray out to around the 22. So let's take a look at our Best Buy playbook.
We're going to go back to that pump and go. Watch the cornerback, Mickens. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the country. See how he peeks and then he comes forward because he sees Iglesias break to the inside. This is something the coaches from Oklahoma knew they could do, especially with Iglesias. He's so good at what's called a double move route. Looks like he's going to run the slant. That was actually a slant and go. I thought it was a hitch and go, but looks like he's going to run the slant. Mickens jumps it, and he can redirect so quickly. You take advantage of that veteran defensive back sitting down trying to read the quarterback in the route.
Running play, good move at the line of scrimmage to pick up some extra. And we have a flag thrown back behind the line of scrimmage. That's going to be a hold.
Offense, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Well, that's Brody Eldridge doing about the same thing he did before when we saw the holding call, and this is a good job by the officials seeing this, and it was the cutback by Brown that caused the hold, but Eldridge working on Connor Barlow.
6th penalty against the Sooners. They come quickly back to the line of scrimmage with a first down and about 20. Bradford. Short throw complete, and Manuel Johnson pushed out of bounds immediately. Well, ABC Tuesday. If the Summer Games handed out medals for splats, splashes, and face plants, these contestants would certainly win gold. The biggest show of the season, and the event has America laughing. It's the all-new Wipeout, 7 o'clock, or 8 o'clock, I should say, on Tuesday, 7 o'clock Central on ABC. Brown puts a head down, and he is going to be out to around the 23. Matt Weiner, let's check back in the studio with you.
All right, Ron, East Carolina knocked off Virginia Tech last week. In this Verizon Wireless studio update, more big game hunting. Patrick Pinckney to Alex Taylor, and the Pirates lead 17-3. Wake Forest has just scored as well. They lead Ole Miss by 6.
Alrighty, well, said it last week and I'll say it again. If you're surprised at East Carolina, then you haven't looked at their personnel very closely. They're a really good football team. Bradford steps up, going to go long, pumps it once, and the ball, as they fight for it, is taken down by Brian Broyles. I mean, he jumped. Watch the timing on this jump, because he's only, they say 5'11". I'm not sure about that.
Well, boy, D'Angelo Smith, the corner on that side, was actually beyond Broyles. And this pass led him, but Broyles makes a great catch. I'm not sure if he went down. I think he felt like he did and didn't run.
43 yards in the pass play. Here's a quick out. And trying to break the tackle is Manuel Johnson. Interesting, Wake Forest at home having to come from behind to go in front of Ole Miss. It's not doing a nice job over there. Jevin Sneed with an excellent first half, 13 and 16. Got a man wide open, and boy, did he overthrow him. If he had not had to turn around, he would not have been hit by the corner that way. That was Brian Broyles, because he threw it behind him instead of in front of him.
Yep. Young receiver, still trying to get the timing down with his quarterback. So it's hard to tell who may have been off on that, but it didn't look like Bradford was comfortable when he was running to his right there. It didn't look like he felt like he had his shoulders turned and let that ball go, and it came out funny.
Third down, they need about 7 yards for the first. They need to take it to the 24. Bradford got it complete. That's not enough for the first down. Brian Holmes on the receiving end, but that's going to be short by about a yard.
And remember, for Oklahoma, they no longer have Garrett Hartley. They have a freshman in Jimmy Stevens, so this to me is pretty easy.
Chris Brown prepares to check into the ball game, which would make us assume that they're going to go for it.
They gave him a pretty generous spot, looked like to me. I don't think you need to coax Bob Stoops into going for it here.
I don't either. I'm with you. I'm surprised. I thought that was about a yard off. Anyway, it's fourth down. Oklahoma will lead the offensive unit on the field. They lead it 28-20. Chris Brown is the tailback, and watch where number 34 Matt Clapp goes, the fullback. He probably will be able to follow the football right behind him. Bradford, though, will take it straight ahead. John Cooper, the center, senior out of Fort Collins, leading the way, and they'll move the sticks. First down, Oklahoma.
Well, Cooper's just a little guy at 290 pounds, because to his left and right, Duke Robinson at 335 and Brandon Walker, he's 284. So he's actually a few less than Cooper, but this is an awfully good offensive line.
On first down, Brown takes it to the 19. And these drives right here, as Oklahoma now has over 430 yards on the afternoon in total offense. These drives where in the first half they averaged just barely over 2 minutes a drive per touchdown. These are time consuming. We have only 6:08 left to play, third quarter. Brown runs into his fullback. Manilak, the middle linebacker, makes the tackle.
Well, Bob Stoops, born and raised in Youngstown, Ohio. His dad was a defensive coordinator, used to help break down film with him. Played at Iowa, coached at Iowa. He told Kevin Wilson what he wanted to see, and he's seen it.
10th play of the drive right here, as we see three wide receivers out to the right. Gets it away quickly, has it complete. Brian Broyles, I tell you, he's past becoming an even bigger crowd favorite. He was outstanding in the first quarter, and that's a good grab right there, and that'll move the sticks again.
And watch how Bradford feels pressure coming. Not a blitz, it was a stunt in the middle, but he knows Broyles is about to come open, so he just backpedaled enough to give himself that half a second he needed. That's a good heads-up play by Bradford.
one. Touchdown, DeMarco Murray. And I'll tell you, Robinson and Cooper and Lodehold overloaded that left side back to the middle, and there was no problem heading into the end zone. As they prepare for the extra point, thought I'd tell you, on the Oklahoma coaching staff, people with ties to Cincinnati, and one is the offensive coordinator, Kevin Wilson. He met his wife at a hangout in Cincinnati. That hangout has now been destroyed, so Paul Brown Field could be built. But in honor of the fact that he met his wife in Cincinnati, as we look at the extra point go home, it is now in his freezer, a Skyline chili bucket that he keeps there. That's what they used to eat when they went to the hangout. 35-20. We'll be right back.
ESPN College Football on ABC. Brought to you by Nissan, passionate about performance and proud sponsor of the Heisman Trophy. Verizon Wireless. And Pacific Life. For insurance, annuities, and investments, choose Pacific Life, the power to help you succeed.
So we are back, and some of the footage that you're looking at right there of, I guess that looked like Sam Bradford, wasn't it?
He wouldn't have missed that putt. He's about a scratch golfer, and Kevin Wilson, it was interesting talking about, because he's such a good golfer, he knows not to press. He knows not to push it too hard when things are going bad. Just go back to what you know you can trust.
This kick is very deep into the end zone. He's not going to return it.
One of the things when the coaches were recruiting him, of course, Bradford played the cello a little bit. Good finish there. See the balance on the left side? Very nice. Of course, played quarterback and was a very good three-point shooter. Had some scholarship offers to go play basketball, and it was that diversity, golf, football, and basketball, that made the coaches realize they had a real good competitor, a guy who wouldn't get out of himself too much.
They said at a Muni course in Oklahoma City, not this year, but last year, that Bradford shot a 59. He's that kind of good athlete. Oh my goodness, what a hit at the line of scrimmage as Goebel just got engulfed by Keenan Clayton, a junior out of Sulphur Springs, Texas, at linebacker.
Clayton, an interesting young man who had played mostly safety, but he had the size to move down. He struggled a little bit at safety in space, and 4'5" guy with a 40-inch vertical, kind of nice to have around the line of scrimmage.
Will go for maybe a couple. That's it. It's going to be a third down and long situation for Cincinnati. So the Bearcats playing it kind of conservative right here early, with just a few minutes left in the third quarter, but early in their end of the field, I guess, is what I was trying to think of.
I'm kind of surprised, actually, at how conservative those first two calls were. Not a great running team yet. They don't have quite the backs to fit this system, but they've been answering it, and this one a little too conservative for Mello.
Need to take it out to the 30-yard line to keep the drive going. Reynolds coming on the blitz. Watson has a man and could not stretch out far enough. Gilliard finally proved that he's halfway human anyway. I'll tell you, I know he's not human the way he's played today. What a football player.
Well,
wow.
it was nice coverage at the beginning of the route by Dominique Franks.
And he had run out of his shoe. He had to go back and get his shoe at the 30-yard line.
Well, maybe, you know what? Maybe that's what slowed him down. When he went to extend for the ball, he went to push, and the sock slipped instead of the cleat grabbing.
This is the 5th punt of the afternoon. Huber has 2 of those over 50 yards. Watch the left foot. Well, they're going to throw the ball. It's a fake, and the ball tipped, almost intercepted, but it doesn't matter. It'll be Oklahoma football at the 22-yard line. Now, let me backtrack when I say it doesn't matter. It was an opportunity for a special teams guy, J.R. Bryant, to maybe go for a touchdown.
Well, and J.R. Bryant, excellent job recognizing what was going to happen. Immediately noticed that when the punter, Huber, got it, he started going sideways, so he stopped and backed up. The receiver was open and would have run for the first down, but great recognition by Bryant. And after a couple of conservative play calls, a very aggressive and what could end up being very painful call on special teams for Cincinnati.
So we welcome those viewers from the Penn State and Oregon State game. Ron Franklin, Ed Cunningham, along with Todd Harris. Oklahoma 35-20, and they got a man open right over the middle, and the big tight end Gresham is going to bowl him into the end zone, and it is a 41-20 ball game. And now a flag is down, and as I said, it's gotten a little unruly here in the second half.
And they get another one. Gresham celebrating too much. Now, if Gresham got the first penalty, a personal foul, that would be an unsportsmanlike. Boy, you kind of feel bad there for defensive back D'Angelo Smith, a 260-pound man who runs like a wide receiver coming at you. It's the best you can do.
For those of you who have just joined us, to recap a little bit what happened early in this ball game, 41-20 with the extra point attempt to come. This game sounds relatively close, but Oklahoma.
Foul, number 49 on Cincinnati. Dead ball, unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 1 on Oklahoma. The penalty's offset. Touchdown is good.
Touchdown is good, but to continue to recap, the first 2 possessions by Oklahoma, they did not total 4 minutes, and they scored twice. All of a sudden, it was 14-0, and Cincinnati was kind of looking around like, what is going on? But the Bearcats have come back and acquitted themselves well. But right now, that miss on the fake punt has come back to haunt them as Stevens knocks home the extra point. And with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in the third quarter, all of a sudden the Sooners with a 22-point margin. So we'll take a timeout. Beautiful day in Norman, and the celebrations are beginning. OU 42-20. So we are back. It is 42-20, Oklahoma on top. And as the Sooners prepare to kick off, that means that it's Gilliard time again. We'll see if they kick it to the little guy. He has been magnificent. Took one to the house a minute ago. 97 yards, and he already, going into that play, was averaging 44 yards per kick return. Had a 62-yarder earlier today. Is going to come down. Gilliard 2 yards deep. Oh, good heavens, does he get tagged just before he reached the 20-yard line. Now let's introduce you to the Board of Ed.
Well, I decided this week that we were going, since we're in Big 12 country, we're going to weekly look and rank the quarterbacks. Of course, it's the best conference by far. And before we all get upset,
where's Brad?
Yeah, I knew it. I knew that was coming. This is all based on, after week 1, quality of opponent and if you won. Chase Daniel, of course, knocks off 19th ranked Illinois. Cody Hawkins against Colorado State, an in-state rival. Colt McCoy against Florida Atlantic was very good, 100 yards rushing. Joe Gans and Zach Robinson there at number 4, also playing good opponents.
Play action and really great pressure by Austin English, the junior out of Canadian Texas. We haven't called his name a great deal today, but he is, he was injured last year. That was a Texas A&M game that he was doing up here.
Broke his leg, yeah.
And they really have missed him as you look at Bradford down on the sideline. But Austin English is a guy that has just an exceptional motor and really puts pressure on the quarterback and on the defense. Pumped it, going to go on top. Collision down at the 42-yard line. And let's go back to the studio and Matt Weiner. Matt.
Well, Ron, with Clemson's loss last week, Wake Forest is the only ACC team in the top 25 this week. And Houston Nuts Ole Miss Rebels are trying to bump them off too. Jevin Sneed buying all sorts of time with his leg. The Texas transfer finds Dexter McCluster. 31 yards later, it's a touchdown and an Ole Miss lead. They're up by 1 in the fourth quarter.
Snead, 224 yards and 3 touchdowns. We may send you out to the rest of that game if we get the chance. Ron?
All righty, thanks very much. On third down, a 3rd and 10. He's close to the first down, but you know where he stepped out, and he couldn't help it because he was backpedaling. He's going to be 2 yards short. That's Goodman.
Well, and you get a feeling Brian Kelly is not going to try another fake punt. Boy, it's very difficult. That's twice now that Goodman's been brought back in front of the sticks and not able to pick up the first down because of where the throw was.
You can see the head coach is just frustrated with the fact that, his man looking back into the sun was trying to do the best job he could to bring it in, but also get the first down. But he was 2 yards short. Fair catch is signaled for and made at the 34. So we're going to hold it right here. 2:34 left in the third quarter, and Oklahoma now with a commanding 22-point lead. But I say commanding, it's never commanding against a team that has a guy like Gilliard out there on there. What's the difference? I know total yardage is massive in the second half for Oklahoma compared to Cincinnati. What are the big changes they've made, though, Ed?
Well, for Oklahoma, it was going back to what we thought they would. Bob Stoops, when he walked into the locker room talking to Todd Harris, saying, we've got to run the ball. We've got to get back to that rhythm, stop trying to get greedy. And that's exactly what we've seen. And there it starts again. I just think that this is the offense that they're more comfortable in today. Run in between the tackles. You got 2 good running backs, and I just don't know that Cincinnati against this big offensive line, Ron, can really keep taking that pounding.
Interesting that I heard people during the offseason talk about Oklahoma and the fact that they were going to their no huddle and what have you, and even considered them as a spread team, but they're not. They are a power team as well.
Well, and that's the thing that, look, your team is going to be built in the image of your head coach. And Bob Stoops goes way back. Ohio football, played high school football in Ohio, played at Iowa under Hayden Fry. His teams are always going to have the ability to run power running game with I formation, spread formation into the line of scrimmage.
So it's third down, and the Sooners need to take it to the 45-yard line to pick up the first. Bradford got it complete, and that's Gresham. And the tight end, we'll check how many catches does Gresham have today. That is now 7 for him. Well, coming up later, we'll be naming the Chevrolet MVPs of our ball game. I think I've got a real good idea for Cincinnati already, huh? Well, on a cutback, DeMarco Murray trying to go against the grain and break it into the secondary.
You know, last year when Murray was a freshman, we did a couple of Oklahoma games, and the one thing the coaches were quick to point out, even though he has that extra gear, of course Texas fans know that after the 65-yard run he had last year against them, but he does have good vision. You talked about the cutback right there. He does see that stuff and has the ability. He's not just a try to bounce it outside, take everything 50 yards guy.
Bradford, he's there. Broke a tackle, Brian Broyles. And I'll tell you, this young guy right here, a redshirt freshman out of Norman High School, has got all-star written all over himself.
And again, the coaches yesterday when we met with them, especially Kevin Wilson, the offensive coordinator, said, we don't want to say the name Mark Clayton because he was such a special player, but completely reminds us of him. They wouldn't say he's as good or going to be, they wouldn't go there, but they definitely use that name Mark Clayton, and you're starting to see why, what he does after the catch.
He broke a tackle right there that it looked as though that the young man had him wrapped up. DeMarco Murray pounds it on the left side, tried to break it out, did not, and that is the end of the third quarter. So as we take a timeout, we look at the scoreboard. Oklahoma 42, Cincinnati 20. This presentation of college football presented by Best Buy will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. So we're back for the final 15 minutes of action. Few people headed for the exits here in Norman, not sticking around for the final 15, which is a little bit surprising. Their ball club is on top by 22 points, and they are threatening right here with a second down as they scrimmage from the Cincinnati 24.5-yard line. Bradford. It's complete. Manuel Johnson on the receiving end fights his way out of bounds at the 19. Torrey Cordette defensively for Cincinnati.
Manuel Johnson, a guy that people have kind of been waiting on. He's kind of second fiddle to Malcolm Kelly out there at that spot last week. Had a career-high 9 receptions, and coming back and showing why the coaches feel like they got a pretty good guy out there at that position now.
Broyles is the inside receiver on the bottom of your screen. And it is dropped by Gresham. And I'll tell you, Broyles had broken free.
Yes, he had.
Totally free in the end zone.
What a great debut for Ryan Broyles from right here in Norman, Oklahoma. And you never know. Look, coaches, they'll talk nice about something, but you just got that sense yesterday talking to Coach Stoops and Coach Wilson that it was not lip service that they were servicing there.
Jimmy Stevens, the redshirt freshman out of Oklahoma City, is about to try his first collegiate field goal. It's going to be placed down at the 26 on the far hash mark. So a 36-yard attempt, and he nailed it. 36 yards on the field goal. 45-20 our new score. Oklahoma. We'll be right back. Young man getting to watch his favorite football team, and he has got to be very proud. Oklahoma, it's hard to believe, folks, they struggled a little offensively and defensively in the second quarter, and they're up by 25 points against a good football team.
Now the students here and some of the fans, of course, Todd Harris proved before the game, didn't know much about this opponent, but this is a very quality opponent that we have seen Oklahoma make look a little easy here in the second half.
Boots kick, look at this. No fair catch called for, made at the 35 and out to the 40-yard line. Time now to take a look at the Pacific Life summary.
Well, it's like a law firm. Gresham, Gilliard, and touchdowns. Gilliard, of course, with the 97-yard touchdown return on the kickoff. School record, 365 yards. And Jermaine Gresham, who last year started to really expand what he could do, had some problems with his hands early in his career, but with his athletic ability, now able to reel in most balls. He's not perfect yet, starting to become a real weapon for Sam Bradford and the Sooners.
Roots it from a shotgun, good field position. And that one was dropped, and let me say on behalf of the receiver, that's getting to be a bad sun right there. It is getting down almost to eye level, and he took his eye off of it, obviously, but you see it's very tough. That's a bright sky.
And it had been overcast, so Cincinnati on the sunny side of the stadium. And I don't think they're feeling more heat from Oklahoma than they are from that sun right now.
Governor in motion. Woodson gets by one, throws back, and has that one complete to Ali. And Kazim Ali will take it close to the first down, although he'll be tackled at the 46. Jeremy Beal with another tackle.
Well, when we talked to Brian Kelly, the head coach of Cincinnati, he said, looking at film of Oklahoma, he said that is like a Big East all-star team. Every guy out there could play in the Big East at a very high level, so they knew they were going to have their hands full. And clawing and scratching, but maybe a little too much for them.
Straight ahead with the handoff, little counter action, and Beal makes the tackle along with Reynolds, and they will pick up the first down.
And, you know, this is a pretty important game, I think, for the Big East. We just got an update earlier that East Carolina is beating West Virginia on the road.
Wake just went back in front of Ole Miss 27-21.
East Carolina still leading against West Virginia. And it was a bad showing last week. The conference went 4 for 4. And Pitt lost to Bowling Green. Rutgers at home to Fresno State.
Pitt, and finally going to be taken down just shy of the 50-yard line. Now here comes a flag in, and we got pushing and shoving. And now the official who threw one flag threw his hat, which means another flag. And Grutza is down underneath all of that.
It looked to me like some of the Cincinnati offensive linemen were coming to his defense, and he doesn't look good, like he may have gotten tangled up in the bottom of that pile.
And in fact, you can see Brian Kelly slowly walking out, trying to say something to the official. I'd like to come out and see my player. And I'm sure that
after the play was over, personal foul number 76 on the offense, personal foul number 8 on the defense. The penalties will offset.
And take a look and see what happened to Grutza.
A lot of bodies. Yeah, his right foot just got totally turned underneath when DeMarcus Granger came to finish that off. His right foot did not slip out. A lot of times that foot will slip. And
yeah, is Lewis who had him first? Lewis has been incredible today.
Yeah. Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, boy, oh boy, is that a bad sprain. Let's hope a sprain, because that foot really got caught. The right foot. Oh man.
Well, we can only hope, and the medical staff is taking a close look and not being in a hurry to move him. And now the call has gone to get either a stretcher or a gurney, one of the two. They're going behind the bench. So let's step aside. We'll take a timeout. 12:53 left in our ball game. 45-20, Oklahoma. We hope it is not as serious as we might think. Welcome back to live action. This is Dustin Grutza being taken off the field on a gurney, and there is an X-ray unit that they've got some super equipment back over underneath that side of the stadium. Everything from head injuries to like ankles, knees, shoulders, where they're taking Grutza right now. And so excellent care is starting right now. We just hope that it is not something, as Tony Pike comes in, that is going to keep this young man on the shelf for very long, if at all.
Especially for how well he handled the whole Ben Mock situation and continues to handle it. He's such a class guy, fifth-year senior. You really hope he can finish this season out.
Pike, a junior out of Cincinnati, Reading High School. Pumped it, didn't work. Travis Lewis comes up to make the stick on him. So we have 12:31 left to play in our ball game. Ron Franklin along with Ed Cunningham and Todd Harris. Sooners on top 45-20. They tallied 2 touchdowns very quickly early in the first quarter. And then Cincinnati just kept coming back slowly but surely. They kept pecking away and made a ball game out of it. But in the third quarter, it was actually a fake punt that they tried and went awry, intercepted by Oklahoma momentarily. Then they said nobody knocked it down, and they scored on the very first play after that fake punt.
Well, and Tony Pike comes in, and there's probably a lot of people watching who thought, well, wait, didn't Demetrius Jones transfer over from Notre Dame? He did. However, Demetrius had to have surgery on his shoulder. He's not quite 100%. He doesn't quite have the system down. And so Brian Kelly said he's just not ready to go, and we want him fully healthy. He is eligible. Remember, he did not attend classes at Notre Dame, So he is eligible to play 1 year after transferring, but just not quite there health-wise or in the system. So Pike, who's been basically a career backup but knows the system, is the guy who'll play with Kreutz out.
Well, the coaching staff said that for Tony Pike, very live arm. They really like him, but he's having to learn the no huddle, and it's still not an accomplished thing for him yet.
Well, and this now makes the Ben Mock, depending on the injury situation with Kreutz. Of course, we hope for the best, and he's worked too hard to have to give up his senior year. But now the Ben Mock situation, Todd Harris gave a report that it's going back to court. They still think they have a case. Becomes very interesting.
You know, Tony Pike is a big youngster. He's a junior. He's 6'6", 225 pounds. And I would imagine that's one of the reasons that the no huddle is, he probably is more of a pocket passer. You know, under center, drop back and throw kind of guy. Flag comes down as he throws incomplete.
Holding, number 79 on the offense, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Well, Ed, I know one game we're going to be watching tonight, and that's down in the state of Florida on ESPN. Miami taking on the Florida Gators, who are ranked number 5. That one's going to kick off at 8 o'clock Eastern time. And all of that is presented by Hampton. I would like to see the Miami Ball Club start getting back into the same kind of force they used to be. But I'll tell you, they're going to have to be more than a force to go into the Gators' backyard and play. As that ball is tipped, and then intercepted by Holmes. Lindy Holmes tries to cut it back into the middle and will go down at the 38-yard line.
From the age of 6 years old on, if you play football, there's always the tip drill, and this is to perfection.
ESPN College Football on ABC. Brought to you by Best Buy. You happier. Cadillac. And College Game Day is built by Home Depot. You can do it. We can help.
That a couple of the walls in the hotel that we're staying in, which is called Sooner Legends. And for Sooner faithful, that's a really popular place to stay.
You know, for a Husky, Washington grad, a Husky, I like it too. I've got the Keith Jackson suite. Of course, not the announcer, the great tight end. And each room, most of the rooms, adorned with a famous Sooner.
Speaking of the Sooners, back on offense, this is Madu. And in the second half, take a look at this graphic, and to show you exactly what has happened.
Yeah, that's pretty efficient. We saw that in the first quarter, and then they got away from what was working. The run game in between the tackles in the second quarter, and they went right back to it here in the second half.
By the way, Bradford, a career high 365 yards in this game. That's what he has passing. Total yards for the Sooners, 528. Again, boy, he pushes the pile.
And I would think Bob Stoops, with what just happened to Dudson Kreutz, you got to start thinking about getting Bradford out. You've got a very good backup, and Joey Halsley's got plenty of experience. And at this point, 10 minutes left, maybe a couple handoffs, but I would not want a pocket collapsing around Bradford's legs after what happened to Kreutz just moments ago.
Clock runs. We're about to go under 10 minutes to play in our ball game. It's Gresham, the tight end, flipping over to the left side. Give it to Madu. Madu cuts it back into the middle. He'll have the 10 yards plus a couple. Gained of 12. Rebels, Andre Rebels, a junior out of Cincinnati, makes the tackle.
Well, it's nice to see Moses Madu in the spring practice. Both of the big backs, DeMarco Murray and Chris Brown, were out with surgery. Of course, Alan Patrick to graduation. And Madu really turned the coaches' heads. And that is why they're able to get him some time in the fourth quarter, of course. But this is a guy that they really feel can make a difference later in his career.
Madu 3 carries, 24 yards, and he's got his legs turning away on this one as he takes it inside the 35. Madu is not real big, 6 feet 196, sophomore out of Norman High School, as is Ryan Broyles, who has made quite a mark here this afternoon.
It's too easy to recruit right down the street, isn't it?
This one right here is not going to go for anything. That's Lamont Nelms. And let's check it on the sideline with Todd Harris. Todd?
Well, Ron, another big story we've been following all week is last week, defensive end Frank Alexander suffered a knife wound in a fight at a local Norman nightclub early Sunday morning. It's about 4 hours after Oklahoma beat Chattanooga 57-2. Now, OU basketball player Ray Willis was also stabbed in the fight, which police said was initiated by several people who tried to crash a private party at which Alexander and Willis were invited guests. Now, Alexander was treated and released, and when we spoke with Coach Stoops yesterday, he was adamant about saying Alexander's just not ready to come back. He said he was certainly the victim. He was, bottom line, he was jumped, and he was an innocent victim.
Okay, Todd. Down to the 28 is Chris Brown, who was checked in. Corey Smith came over to make the tackle. You could see Alexander out trying to say, hey, I'm fighting some Baton Rouge.
And, you know, when we were talking to Coach Stoops about it, he said that's the hard part is, you know, we work with our kids all the time about what to do. They're college kids. They want to go socialize. And he said, no matter what you do, even instances like that, wrong place, wrong time, happens. You can't make they're college kids. You can't make them live in a bubble. You've got to let them go out and do stuff.
Chain Gang's going to come in and check this one out.
You know, with that many second stringers in there, I just saw that Eric Mensick, a backup tight end, of course, Madu. It'd be nice to give a few snaps to Halsley. There's just get him in there, let him get some game stuff. Then the other thing is just why have a guy in when it's starting to get out of hand who you're going to have to rely if you want to make a run for the national championship.
Well, Joey, a senior out of Huntington Beach, California, 6'4", 203. And it would appear, since he has his headgear on, that he is prepared. And I would imagine that one of the coaches has told him to gain that posture and be set to go in the ball game. (45-20), Sooners on top. Clock runs now with 8:25 left in our ball game. And the first down will be accomplished by Chris Brown. Terrell Byrd tripped him up.
You know, it was interesting at the top of the show. We talked about the last Big East team, that ran the spread was West Virginia. And of course, that terrible loss out there in the desert. And that was used all offseason, all during spring ball, all during camp. Anytime someone slacked off, they brought up that game and got people refocused. Seems to have worked.
Flag comes down. It's thrown back at the line of scrimmage as Madu gets collared and taken out of bounds. D'Angelo Smith out there to make the tackle.
Holding, number 74 on the offense, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Well, time now for the ESPNU All-State Standings Review.
A little shakeup at a couple of different places, and one that I think we're going to see is, it looks to me like West Virginia might be 24-3, and got about almost into the fourth quarter. Auburn, Southern Miss gave them everything, but that's a very good team, and Texas will play later tonight. Of course, we get to see them next week against Arkansas, and everything pointing, though, to number 1 versus number 3, and wonder if Ohio State, who struggled against Ohio, may come down a little bit this week.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they were fortunate to get away with the victory at all. This is Madu, gets the pass, goes airborne, and he's going to take it back to the original line of scrimmage.
Well, for all college football fans, because that game next week out in the Coliseum is so big, I hope that Beanie Wells will be healthy enough to play, because I think the sole reason that Ohio State struggled today, he is their identity. Take nothing away from Frank Solich's bunch at Ohio, but they have to have Beanie Wells to go out there and compete, I think, at the Coliseum.
One of the reasons that Southern Cal, to me, is in such a good position to battle all the way for the national championship is the pass looking in over the middle, complete. Down to the 10 is Quentin Cheney. It's not necessarily their offense, which is really very, very good, but it's their defense. Maluga and company are just devastatingly good, I think.
And, you know, Pete Carroll has said all offseason, this is the best bunch I'm going to have, which is a mouthful for his program. And I kind of, you know, sometimes you have to take it with a grain of salt and say, oh, is he trying to build him up? But not that Virginia's going to be great, but they went on the road 2,800 miles or so and just put it on them. And Ohio State will struggle if Beanie Wells can't go.
Now straight ahead. Pretty good hole. Takes it down to the 5, and it's Corey Smith who will make the tackle on Madu.
Well, and here's a bunch of the guys that will be playing on Sundays. Taylor Mays at free safety. I'm still a little upset. He's a Seattle kid who went to USC instead of Washington, but we'll let that go. But Maluga is one of those guys at 250 pounds and can, from that middle spot, can really run sideline to sideline. He's just a rare guy.
He has such a nose for where the ball is and where the ball's going. And once he gets there, folks, it's like a Category 5. It's an instant explosion.
It's one of my favorite cliches.
Well, he came out the back of the pile and wound up down at the 2-yard line. Rebels making the stop on Madu. And I think it's evident that the coaches would like to see, paying off hard work, they'd like to see Madu take this ball, wind up taking it into the end zone.
And a guy who had to carry the load in spring ball with Murray and Brown out, showing why the coaches like him. A lot like Brown. Very patient, sees that hole and gets into it. Not flashy like Murray, but very productive.
12th play of the drive is all started back at the 37-yard line. Madu, boy, got hit behind the line of scrimmage. Good penetration by Bird. And that's the only thing that kept him out of the end zone. He had a good head of steam. And then, bam, he got chilled.
I was going back to Maluga. He gets to the ball with a bad attitude. Every single time.
Yeah, and it gets even worse after he wraps his arms around it. So it's 4th down and goal. Tanner in motion. And Bradford threw the ball close. It was tipped. Who came up touchdown? And it looks like Matt Clapp, the fullback. That ball was tipped twice. And a flag has come down.
Offside, number 10 on the defense. Penalties declined. Touchdown.
Okay, let's make sure it's Clapp that they give it to.
There you see the defensive end on that side. Number 10, Lamont Niels. No, excuse me. Boy, that was a good job by Clapp. Never quit on it.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah. And that, again, you talk about the different guys that Oklahoma has. That's an athletic fullback that can block, catch.
5th touchdown pass of the afternoon after he set a new high for interceptions at 2. Smiles abound. 52-20 Sooners.
I'm Matt Weiner with this nominee for the Pontiac game-changing performance. BYU and Washington closing seconds, down by 7. Jake Locker gets the Huskies within 1. They need an extra point to send the game to overtime, but it's blocked. BYU extends the nation's longest winning streak to 12. You can vote for this week's Pontiac game-changing performance beginning tomorrow morning at 9. Just go to ESPN.com and search Pontiac.
So we are back 52-20. Oklahoma on top. 4 minutes and 10 seconds showing on the clock. And now most of the crowd heading for the exits here. They are pleased with what they have seen in the second half, and why not? We're going to give you some more figures on what Sam Bradford has done for the ball game. As a pooch kick going to be taken at the 28. Well, Tuesdays this fall, ABC is bringing the game show to your house, literally. It's your life and your chance to win big. But the question is, how well do you know your own family? Opportunity Knocks series premiere Tuesday, September the 23rd on ABC.
Now, Bradford knows his family pretty well, doesn't he? I mean, he's got a real good sense, Sam Bradford does, of what they have around him.
395 yards. That means that the Sooners only 7 yards short of 600 in this ball game. And I'll tell you what, let's take a look at the second half of this. Tell a lot of the story.
And I think the key as you watch these highlights, the bump and slant and go for the touchdown, is this is Cincinnati was number 13 in the country last year scoring defense. Statistically one of the best defenses in the Big East Conference, led the nation with 26 interceptions. This is a good group as Halsley starts to warm up. Bradford obviously done, and they returned 10 starters. It's not like they lost a bunch of guys to graduation, so it's a pretty good defense that Mr. Bradford picked apart today.
Pike with the pass, too tall. Take one other thing into consideration. Now, 2 turnovers today. Cincinnati on the season last year tied for the national lead at 42. 42 turnovers. Don't have to tell you, that's 4 a ball game.
What does that say about Sam Bradford, though, that 2 interceptions is a career high? Granted, he's only a sophomore, but
check my math, 3 a game.
Yeah.
But still, that's a lot. Total yards this half, 52 for Cincinnati, 318 for the Sooners.
Well, and the one thing that when we were talking to Kevin Wilson, the offensive coordinator, about Sam Bradford, you know, people worried about the sophomore slump. You've seen it a lot. He said there's 3 things. Does the player get cocky, thinks he's better than he is? The answer with Sam Bradford, no, that's just not a problem. Number 2, play outside of his abilities. You know, I think he forced a couple of balls there in the second quarter, but then he reeled it back, so not really a problem. And does he have the same supporting cast or better? And I think you may have to say that this cast has gotten a year better, even without Malcolm Kelly, maybe better than 07.
Well, that ball is going to be touched dead at the 2-yard line by Cincinnati as Huber got it to turn over. Let's take a look now at the Chevy MVPs of our ball game. And Marty Gilliard, school record 365 all-purpose yards, and Sam Bradford 399 passes, 3 yards passing, and 5 touchdowns. That what ties the school record and is the 4th or the 5th best, the 3rd best of all time
passing yards.
Now, before we good night this thing, though, there are 2 or 3 other guys. Gresham has got 2 touchdowns on the afternoon. Broyles has got 141 yards and a touchdown.
Offsides, number 78 on the defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, that's the thing that, you know, you lose Alan Patrick, 1,000-yard rusher gone. Now the other 2 guys, Murray and Brown, move up. Now you get Madu, who comes in and shows, okay, now we have 3 backs again. You lose Malcolm Kelly, and even though plays a different position, Broyle steps up. We saw Manuel Johnson, who looks like as a senior may have a breakout season. I'm telling you, I think this offense, with entire offensive line back, is going to be at times much better than it was last year.
Joey Halsey looks over at the sideline, as we told you, from Huntington Beach, California. Human relations is his major. Nice size for a quarterback as well at 6'4".
You have to be getting him as much time as possible in games like this, because remember that Texas Tech game last year. Sam Bradford went out with a concussion, trying to make a tackle on an interception he had thrown. And of course, Texas Tech very good, but just weren't able to outscore, lost by 7 to Texas Tech, and really showed the value of Sam Bradford when he was knocked out of that game.
Well, here's a look at it. And as he goes to the ground in the pile is when he got banged.
Yeah, I think it was Duke Robinson's 335 pounds landing on the defender who'd intercepted the ball that landed on his head. And of course, don't forget DeMarco Murray. That was a game where he dislocated his kneecap.
Spin move across the 5-yard line out to the 7. Rob Trigg is there to make the tackle, and they're going to run out of downs with 2 minutes and 10 seconds showing on the clock.
Yes, 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 yes.
DJ Woods is the deep man as they prepare to punt the ball away, letting the clock go down just as far as they can. We're at 1:42 and counting right now.
Well, if you start looking at down the road for Oklahoma.
So we got to take a timeout. 1:34 remaining. Sooners by 32 points. We'll be right back. So we're back. Coach Bob Stoops sending his punting unit out on the field, making sure that he is right there managing everything that happens, even as we close this ball game, and he's up by 32 points. Coach at the practice field on Thursday and also yesterday visiting with us, always very open, but yet he was very guarded this week, and I think that probably the way the last two seasons have finished, particularly out in the desert at the Fiesta Bowl, he's just ready to see not just a change, but to see a big change in his football team. And let's go down to the sideline. Todd Harris.
Well, Ron and Ed, I hate to be the bearer of bad news at the close of the game. I just spoke with a Cincinnati team doctor, and he confirmed to me that Dustin Grutza has sustained a fractured right ankle. To repeat, Dustin Grutza has sustained a positive fracture in his right ankle, which is unfortunate. Right-handed thrower, that'll be his plant foot. That puts all the more pressure now on what happens with the Ben Mock situation. Ron?
Okay, great hustle there, Todd. Thanks very much. And so sorry to hear that news. So Tony Pike swings the pass out of the backfield and to the 40-yard line, which is about a yard gain on the play, and the clock runs at 1:12.
Well, and to make sure everyone understands the Ben Mock situation, Todd Harris filed the report earlier, spoke to Ben's attorneys, and they're continuing to fight. He's been turned down several times. He had his last review last week. It was turned down, trying to prove that he had 2 years taken away from him for things outside of his control. And there is an injunction right now as a flag comes down. That ball looked uncatchable, didn't it? But there is as we look at Demetrius Jones, who's not quite ready to play with that shoulder surgery and doesn't quite know the offense.
Will be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
But there is an injunction in place that will allow Ben Mock to play. However, if the final ruling of the court is that he's not eligible, then they would have to forfeit any games he played in. So Cincinnati in a very strange spot now, losing Dustin Grutza. I don't think they can afford to bring back a young man and then have to forfeit games. So they'll have to let this play out in court.
That could take forever. Again. Pass a little too tall. It'll go incomplete. Stop the clock at 43 seconds. So coming up, no rest for, well, I take it back. There is a week's rest. They don't have to play again. Cincinnati, speaking up, as Miami of Ohio. And that game is on the 20th of September. Then the week after that, they have to travel. So the good news about playing Miami of Ohio is the fact that at least they will get that game at home. And they'll need that time to break in a new quarterback.
Well, and for Oklahoma, they go out to Washington. Washington falls to 0-2 today with the missed extra point against BYU. And then they get a week off to get ready for TCU. And you say, okay, why is that important? Although TCU, I think, very good this year. Remember, Bob Stoops, we'll be going to 56-2 here in a moment at home. One of those. Yep.
One of those losses is against TCU. Back the last one, as Ed said. Pike overthrows that one as well.
And And this really sent shockwaves through college football. This is in 2005, not 2007, where all the weird things were happening. But Gary Patterson's Horned Frogs came in, and everybody thought this was going to be a blowout. And they pulled off a shocker.
Gary Patterson's ball club always very tough. They play really good defense, a little conservative on offense, which is they play in total harmony with what the defense does, and they win a lot of football games. That one against the grain does a nice job of throwing it complete to DJ Woods, and he's going to have the ball. Clock will stop for a moment. We're at 22 seconds, and we're getting close to the last play of this one. Oklahoma still on top by 32 points.
It was interesting the other day. We went out there to practice, and you mentioned to Coach Stoops, been here 10 years, and he just started shaking his head.
It doesn't seem like it.
It's just, and you know, an amazing run. Look, it has not. The last 4 BCS bowl games have not been great. 2 of those national championships, but what they have done, 5 of the last 7 Big 12 championships, and of course the national championship back in 2000. But that is amazing. He'll go to 56-2 at home. That's staggering. Really is.
Well, the interesting thing also, something we talked about off the top of the telecast, and you had the 5 quarterbacks and how they had done in the Big 12 conference. Doing as many games out here as we do, this is a conference that is really blessed with some outstanding young talent. The amazing thing, we talked about the 7-on-7 drills until we're blue in the face, but that thing that came about down in Texas and is now a huge off-season program. A lot of good quarterbacks are coming out of the state of Texas.
Yeah, they're allowing
not
the state of Texas.
quarterbacks.
No, they're allowing the high school quarterbacks to compete against each other during the summer and spring. And it has really changed the game in the Big 12 Conference, where a lot of the talent comes out of.
Low pass from center. Now Pike running for his life. Well, that ball was caught, secured, got out of bounds. Well, they're not going to nitpick over that. That'll stop the clock with 16 seconds remaining.
You know, it's always this point of the game where the first-string defense is looking out at all the second-teamers that are in there. Bryce Macon's out there, a couple of backups, and they don't want to score because it goes on their stats. So that first-team defense is, trust me, they got their helmets on, yelling and screaming at these guys.
Second down, Pike. This one's too tall. 12 seconds left. Bends the intended receiver. Anyway, just to finish that point on the Big 12, it's going to be fun to watch this league, because as good as the Sooners are, there's some with the good quarterback play in this league. Chase Daniel at Missouri, that ball club's got to be dealt with, and you know there are some others. We're going to see Texas next week against Arkansas. Colt McCoy looked more like his freshman year than he did
100 yards rushing last week against Florida Atlantic.
Draw. Pike pumps it and is going to be tackled short. And look at the sideline. The defensive players, just what Ed was talking about, as the clock runs out, they held them out of the end zone. And defensively, that's a good thing, they're saying. Lendy Holmes will get credit for the tackle. Well, now the officials.
Well, yeah, he picked up the first down, so the clock should have stopped to reset the. Well, it would have just been the down box that needed resetting, because you don't need the 10-yard chains. It's your first and goal situation.
Please put 3 seconds on the game clock.
Look, punch it and say, please tell me you're serious.
Here's Pike, picks up the first down. Lendy Holmes is a first-teamer, still out there, makes the tackle.
Okay, each side has 11. Just want to make sure everybody got that. Some of the kids headed on to the locker room. And the running play, they will score. And it's the defensive coaches on the sideline that are going, get out of here. Scott Johnson will get credit for the touchdown. Coach Venables with his hands on his hips, and the head coach looks on saying, well, probably wondering if that was necessary.
I think you go for one if you're Cincinnati. I don't think you go for two runs. Oh, they're going for two. I think this is for practice. I know everybody's booing, but look, Brian Kelly's not going to quit coaching. And that's what this is about. He's got a backup quarterback that we just got from Todd Harris. Is probably going to be the quarterback for the rest of the season. You never know when you may need a two-point conversion. Why not get some practice in a game situation?
Quick pass on the middle screen, and immediately the Sooners are all over that one. Ben's made the catch.